Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, the world's biggest Harry Kane fan. And thank you for joining us this Saturday lunchtime for the build-up to today's massive Premier League game for Tottenham Hotspur as we head to Birmingham to take on Aston Villa at Villa Park and hopefully escape there with all 3 points. Of course, we are joined by, as always, co-host Jack Kinnicky, Shaw from Spurs Talk Show, and James from Spurs Related. Jack, how are you keeping, my man?
Bit nervous for today, Dave, but the more game days that I hear from Sean, the more comments that I see from the Harris Army chat, the less nervous I'll be. But looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing what questions you'll ask, Dave, also maybe get me, a bit out of these nerves. But looking forward to this one, Dave. Always love the pre-match build-up, illusion time.
Yeah, it really is. We start off nervous, by the end of it, we're slapping them 6-0. That's what it's about, Jacko. Johnny, do you know what day it is, lad?
I've just checked my calendar, and it is. Guys, it's game day! Come on! So excited. So excited. I'm good, man. I'm tired. I'm like I said, backstage, I've had a weird night's sleep.
Yeah.
But I'm always pumped to get the adrenaline going when it's game day. So we'll get on with it. Great. Thank you for having me again.
You wait till 5:30 tonight, Sean. You'll be wide awake, full of adrenaline. Plus me, my man. Plus me. James, great show earlier on, my man. How are you keeping it? Thank you for getting straight off there and coming on and joining us, man.
Double shift.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Yeah, no, it's actually going to be a quad shift today, actually, Jack. It's going to be this is the second one, then third is obviously the match reaction after the game, and then the fourth one's the big one, baby. You guys know what's going on. Wow. It's the Spurs-related quiz. We're taking over the Irish Hotspur. It's going to be a fun night. Hopefully, good vibes after the win. And no, I'm absolutely buzzing to talk about the game. And I know all the stats off by heart now, so I don't even need to look at my notes. I've already prepared.
I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. But look, guys, let's see what Irish Hotspur Army are in here to join us this lunchtime. We have the regular. He says, "Come on, you Spurs! Every game is massive now, man. It's 8 cup finals, 8 games left, yep. 8 cup finals. It's that simple." The regular.
Don't call them cup finals though. We don't do well in cup finals. So
cup quarterfinals,
semi-finals, yeah, something like that.
I love it. Welsh Gal says, "Big up, lads, in America on holiday at the moment. Let's keep the momentum going and get a win today. Come on, you Spurs. Hashtag Harris Army. Hashtag love a flat cap."
Big up Welsh Gal.
Big up
you
Welsh
enjoy
Gal.
your holiday. Whereabouts in America? Are you anywhere close to Jacko? Let us know. But you enjoy that.
I have a strong feeling she might be over in Texas or, somewhere down south, Dave, where it's a bit nice and warm. The sun is, still up for a bit longer, than, it is over here. Welsh Gal, I bet you picked a good place. Big up, Welsh Gal.
She's probably sitting in a nice resort somewhere at this moment, chilling out, but big up, Welsh Gal.
Florida. I'm going to say Florida. I reckon.
Florida, not a bad choice. I mean, it kept Harry Kane there a long time, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Everybody, I'm taking 5 bets on where Welsh Gal is in America. I love it. Dark Soul G says, "Everton 1, Man United 0 at the moment. Come on, Everton, get the win today." Oh, man, look.
That's amazing. Didn't know that.
Wow. Prove me wrong, Dark Sun G, so far, like you always do. You're proving me wrong. I couldn't back Frank getting a result. I could never back Frank getting a result. I don't trust the man at all. But you're proving me wrong, Dark Sun G. He's proving me wrong, Dave.
Big up, Dark Sun G. I'd be buzzing if United end up losing.
Because Dark Sun G kept saying it to me, Dave. He kept saying that Everton are going to get this result, and I just said, Dark Sun G, I just can't trust Fat Frank in order to do this. Like, I just can't. Every other one I could get onto the delusion train, but I just couldn't. And Dark Sun G, yet again, Dave, proving me wrong.
Big up, Dark Sun G, top man, and he was in here all day yesterday telling us it was going to happen as well. Wembley 1 says, "Good afternoon from sunny Wembley to David, Jack, Sean, the Godfather, and everyone else in the flat cap."
Godfather? I'm not that old, am I? Come on. What's going on there?
Oh. I think you was expecting Philip today, lad. It's going to be another wild ride, no doubt, this evening at Villa Park. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Big yourself up, Wembley 1.
Love it,
You can definitely do it, my man. Mary W says, "Going to be a tough one, but come on, you Spurs." Big up, Mary W. It's good to see you in. It's definitely going to be tough. Carl Simpson says, "Good afternoon, gents. I hope you are all well. I am calling it right now. United and Arsenal will both lose, and we will win 3-1. And one of the goals is a Kane free kick. Come on, you Spurs."
Wow.
Big out,
As
Carl.
you can tell, not hyped. I mean, look, Carl, I hope you didn't put money on a Harry Kane free kick. I mean, look, I'm his biggest fan, and even I wouldn't do that. So I hope you didn't do that. But look, I'm loving the
stick it on the national. Stick it on the national or something, mate. Don't bet on Harry Kane free kick, honestly.
But I'm absolutely loving the optimism, and this is what I want to see from Spurs fans. Big up, Carl. We also have Anthony Green. Ari, our injury players we often get. Long-term solution is put any injured player on UK statutory sick pay instead, which I hear is 19 or 99.35 a week. Geez, you guys are generous. I just watched them recover quickly. And 100%, my man. There'll be no messing about. But with Skippy, if this is in relation to Skippy, I don't think it's him messing about. It was a groin injury, and now he has a pelvic injury. So, with some of these injuries and stuff like that, when you do come back and you get back into training, sometimes you can get that follow-on injury. And look, it looks like what's after happening to Skippy. The Bertie 1008 says, big up Harris and Flat Cap Army. It's game day. No talk of talking more Spursy today because they're dead. Spurs 4-0 win today. Woo! Come on,
love it, Bertie.
Spurs. Absolutely love it, the Bertie. Big yourself up. We have John Fitzpatrick. First of all, John, hope things are well with you and the newborn and the family. He says, big up to everyone. Come on, you Spurs. John, hopefully we get the win today, my man. Big yourself up. Pete from the Lane says, come on, you Spurs. Big up, Pete from the Lane. It's good to see you in. How are you and the young lad keeping, my man? Let me know. Ronnie's in the building. He says, it's 12:37 a.m. here. Ron, absolutely no excuses whatsoever, lad. Dark Sun G, Gaguma, and the rest, they all up at crazy hours in the morning. Nah, money messing up.
It must be Australia.
Sounds like that's going to be a later one then.
That's Australia, I think.
Dark Sun G's is at 1:30, so
yeah.
What's this? Probably Australian then?
You'll be on at 4:45 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, that's Australian, I think. Somewhere down.
We can't feel too sorry for him. He's got the F1 to look forward to. I have to wake up at 6 a.m. to watch that. So there you go.
There you are. Big up, Ron. Hope you're keeping well, my man. Gabrielle 1 says, come on, you Spurs. Big up, Gabrielle 1. Matt C is coming to join us. Come on, you Spurs. We need to win. I want some Romero rugby tackles tonight and some Winks bench warming. Hopefully, man, that's exactly what we're going to see, my man.
Want to see Winks passing out the blankets, passing out the juices and everything, Matt. Absolutely, man.
I don't even want him on the bench. I want him plane warming. I want him going on to another country, to be honest with you. But there you go.
Welsh gal could have took him on her holidays. That would have been nice.
Yeah. Send him to LA Galaxy or something.
No Vice Man says, good afternoon, fellas. Good afternoon, my man. I hope you are keeping well. And Gabrielle 1 says 10k subs are bust.
Love it. Love it.
Absolutely love it. Nick Hermlock, afternoon, lads. Going out, be back for later. Jeez, you're always out, Mick. You're one of the busiest mans I've ever known. You're always out. Big up, Mick.
Always tunes in, though, as well, Mick. Always puts in his comments as well. Absolutely.
He always comes in to rub it in, Jack. He's like, all right, boys, how you keeping? I'm heading out now. See you later. I love it. I love it. Rachel Vida says, come on, you Spurs. Big up, Rachel. We have Tequila 316. Big yourselves up, lads. No, big you up, my man. Absolutely love it.
At the tequila shots at the ready, my man, Dave. Last time we got him absolutely floored, by the end of the pre-match build-up because, he was taking a shot every time we said big up, it was a bad mistake for him.
Yeah, he was absolutely wasted. On your bike, Scott says, big up, lads. Just finished work. On my way home. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, let's get the win, my man. Ronnie is from Fiji. Wow. Big up, my man. Lovely part of the world. Lovely part of the world. Would love to go one day. Big up, Ron. And Saltcur 212 afternoon. I'll big up the panel. I'm going for 3-1 today with a Kane hat trick. Saltcur, absolutely love that. That's music to my ears. In fact, reading that, it's like a Valentine's card to me, to be honest with you. Absolutely loving it, my man. Big yourself up, Saltcur. And then we have Bobby K, legendary panel for the pre-game. Big up panel. Everyone in the chat. Come on, you Spurs. Big up Bobby K. Good energy. I like this guy. Big up, Bobby. And we have Keith Johnston says 4-1 Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. Absolutely love that. Let's get the win, Keithy boy. Let's get it done. And we also have Ian Bridges. Please, Romero, give Winks an injury training.
I've never seen that waste on someone.
That's absolutely ruthless, lad. I absolutely love it. If Conte ever leaves, you should be the manager. Big up, Ian.
Yeah, but Winks would have to get involved in a tackle for that to happen. So I'm not entirely sure that's something on Winks' radar.
Do you know what? I've been doing YouTube for just over a year now, and in all the comments, I've never seen someone wish for own player to injure another player. I absolutely love the creativity there, Ian. That's absolutely brilliant. Got to be said.
Taking it to another levels, Ian. You gotta love it.
You gotta love it. Big up, Ian. Everybody, make sure you do smash that like button. Smash that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. And feel free to get your super chats in to stop us at any point to close one of our 4 big mouths, and we'll get straight to it and give it a very good discussion. But look, guys, just going to tell you everything you need to know, and then Jack's going to run you through the stats and the team news, and then back to me for the questions. So, of course, today we are away at Villa Park in Birmingham. Kickoff is at 5:30 p.m. The referee is Graham Scott. In the VAR room, we have Jared Gillet as well. Great pronunciation by me there. TV channel, it's on CNBC. In America, in Canada, it's on DAZN, and in the UK and Ireland, it is on Sky Sports, which makes a difference considering we had to go through a long period there with no live games in the UK and Ireland, which was pissing me off. And then watch along, guys, if you want to see more of myself, Jack, and Sean. Tune back in here at 5:15 today for the watch along for today's massive game. And if you want more of this pre-match build-up and you want peak delusion to the point where you've got your hats on, your hard helmets, and you're just running through walls, well, join me over on We Are Tottenham TV for the pre-match pump-up at 4 o'clock, guys. But Jack, why don't you tell everybody all the stats and everything they need to know?
All right, let's get through it, everybody. Spurs are in 4th on 54 points. The last 5, we've won 4 and lost 1 to Man United. Tottenham have won 14 of their last 17 Premier League games against Villa, including their last 6 over at Villa Park. And I believe that big stat was, everybody, the last time that I think Villa even defeated us at their own park was over in 2008 or something like that, something ridiculous. Tottenham have won their last 5 of their last 6 Premier League fixtures. Spurs have scored 21 goals in their last 6 top-flight games, something they last achieved in April and between April and September of 1965. So everybody, last time that we scored 21 goals in 6 top-flight games in a row was in 1965, something Conte, I think, would be very proud of. I would definitely assure you that. Antonio Conte has won 39 points since he took charge of Spurs in November. Only Liverpool and Manchester City, both with 50 points, have amassed more in that time. Harry Kane has scored 7 times in 9 top-flight matches against Villa, including in all 3 of his league appearances at Villa Park. Matt Doherty has been directly involved in 6 Premier League goals in 2022 with 2 goals and 4 assists. And I do believe that is tied for 3rd most or 4th most goal contributions in the whole squad as well. And for Aston Villa, everybody, they're on 11th with 36 points. Last 5, they've won 2 and lost 3. Aston Villa have won just 2 of their last 20 Premier League games against Spurs. Villa's last home league win against Tottenham was on New Year's Day in 2008. There's that big stat. Aston Villa have suffered 3 Premier League defeats in a row, having won the previous 3 games without conceding a goal. I'm sure there will be a really good question from Dave on that. You know, what's it like maybe to come up against a team that's won 3 in a row, then lost 3 in a row? Will they maybe turn it around today? The Villains have lost 9 top-flight matches this season against teams that started the day in the top 6 of the table. Steven Gerrard has lost 9 of his 19 matches in charge of Aston Villa, won 7 and drawn 2. 8 of those defeats have been by a single goal, with the exception of a 3-1 home loss to Chelsea. So everybody, I think Aston Villa as well, no team has lost more 1-goal games than I think Aston Villa so far this season. I think they've lost 12 or something like that. Philippe Coutinho has 3 goals and 3 assists and 5 Premier League appearances at Villa Park. And then Danny Ings has netted 6 goals in his last 7 games against Spurs in all competitions. In terms of injury news, Spurs, Sergi Reguilon and Brian Sessegnon are back in the squad, having both missed the 5-1 victory over the Magpies, which means our only 2 injured players are Oliver Skip with a pelvic injury now, and then Jaffa Tanganga with that knee injury that will keep him out for the rest of the season. Aston Villa, Nakamba would make his long-awaited return from injury this weekend, someone that might actually make a real difference in that midfield. I'm sure there might be a good question on that from Dave. And then Courtney House or Hausa, I believe that left-footed center back for them is also out on injury. But back to you, Dave.
No, absolutely. He's out injured. Brilliant. Thank you, Jacko. Lazy 801 says, morning, lads. I'm not going out. I'm staying right here in front of the screen for the next 7 hours. Damn what the wife says. Absolutely love it. You got to put the foot down every once in a while, Nicky. And he says 3-1 to the boys. from the lane. Absolutely
Nick.
love it. Big up, Nick. You don't move from that TV, my man. Do not move. Refuse. Stand your ground. Pitch your tent, my man.
Tie yourself to the chair, Dave. Like goalpost protest.
I shall not be moved. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. But look, Sean, we'll start with you, my man.
Yo.
What are your thoughts going into today's game? Are you feeling confident that we will get the win?
Yeah.
What didn't like that pause?
No.
Start again, Sean.
Yeah, of course. Okay, ask me the question. No, 100%. I think we're gonna get the win. I don't think it's gonna be an easy game. The statistics, about how many times we played them and the 7 wins away from home on the bounce, all the statistics in the world tell a story that if you just looked at that stuff, you'd say, oh, it's going to be walk in the park. But the one thing that about Aston, or we know about Steven Gerrard, is he's super competitive. I don't think that, like I was saying to you guys before, I don't think that he'll allow the Aston Villa players to have one eye on the beach. I think he'll be saying to them, especially on the back of last week, they lost to Wolves, right? A massive local derby.
Yeah.
And the fans won't be happy with that. They'll be looking for a response. Steven Gerrard will be looking for a response. And the thing about Aston Villa is you just don't know what Aston Villa team are going to turn up. If the team that played Arsenal at home a couple of weeks ago turn up, then I think it will be a walk in the park. But Aston Villa have got players across the pitch that are particularly dangerous or can be on their day. So I still think Tottenham are going to have more quality. I still think Tottenham are going to win. But like always at the moment, when we're playing against teams that probably do the low block, it all depends on how well we start. And if we get the early goal, then we'll probably go on and romp it. If they frustrate us, if they get the early goal, it could be a long afternoon. But yeah, overall, mate, I still don't see us having too many issues today. I think we're just a better outfit, and the form and the confidence we have, I think will be more than enough to get the 3 points.
Yeah, and like you said, Shawnee, look, we just can't afford to give them something to hang on to today. We cannot afford to let them have the first goal. Now, look, we got away with it at Newcastle, but we're home. Way is a bit of a different story, and this Aston Villa team can keep teams out as well, so we cannot afford to let them get the first goal. You're absolutely spot on there, Shawnee. Jamesy, James, can we pick up straight where we left off from the 5-1 humbling of the Magpies?
100%. I think you're spot on about, starting well early. I know we say that on most of the pre-game build-ups, but listen, we didn't start well against Newcastle. That's what I want to see different this time. Like, we were so poor that first half. I remember coming on your show after and saying sort of the thing that annoyed me the most about the game was, of course, we won 5-1, but the first half, we honestly deserved probably to be losing. That's how bad it was. And listen, I think Villa are a better outfit than Newcastle. However, going back to your question, I do think we will kick on today. I do think we have started to build up a momentum now where we're out of the win-loss cycle. We're on a win-win-win cycle. Yeah. And listen, I think that's the difference. We're on a momentum run. The players will know that Arsenal slipped up. Obviously, I don't think they'll know if they do or don't slip up. Obviously, they're playing at 3:00 against Brighton, but I still think they're in their lane. Like you said, 8 cup finals or semi-finals, whatever we want to call them. But I just do think it's different now. I do think things have changed, and I do think the ultimate goal, we've only got one goal. Other teams have the FA Cup that they're juggling, or ours is just top 4, win 8 games, or get as many points as possible out of those games. And that's why I do think it's changed. Whereas the blip we had a couple of months ago when we lost to Southampton, lost to Wolves, that's out of our system now. That was the blip. Arsenal will have their blip as well. I told everyone that. Palace, I reckon Brighton, I fancy Brighton to get a result today. They're due a win. And there we go. So I do think we'll kick on.
8 round of 16s left, for the boys. That's that would motivate.
Yeah,
8 rounds of 16 ties left.
I love it. And Jack, we were absolutely unbelievable against Newcastle in that 5-1, especially the second half. Is there anything we can replicate from that game that can actually maybe help us today? Maybe getting the defenders forward like we did against Villa, or like we did against Newcastle and Villa set low block, or what do you think we can take from that game? I
think probably what we could really replicate, in that game maybe had to do with probably again, and this is a bit redundant, but keeping the width, with those sort of fullbacks. What I've seen from Villa and what we broke down yesterday is that they seem to do a big overload in the midfield. I'm not really sure why, but it's something that they seem to like to do. They like to play through the middle. So I'm a bit curious, if we play most of our game kind of out wide, which is pretty much what we do. We don't really actually put too many players through the middle. I'm wondering what that would do actually to an Aston Villa team. Does that play to their favor? Or does that actually, kind of confuse them, make them run all over the pitch, kind of make them, a bit tired, right away? And I don't know. It's maybe what you can take from it, Dave, is just the fact that we had some pretty ruthless finishing and some pretty ruthless, counter-attacking abilities. So if Aston Villa were to press us, you could say that there could be that space in behind. If we just take that sort of ruthless approach yet again, I think we'll have a pretty easy time. If Aston Villa were to sit deep, though, I think we would see, a different game, because to say that we really broke down Newcastle, to say that we broke down kind of a deep lying, deep kind of a defensive Newcastle is kind of a bit of a lie. I feel like, once they got that goal, they sort of changed their approach for some reason. And then the game just kind of flipped on its head and played to our favor. So I'm looking forward to this one, Dave. It's really, what can we really take from it? Maybe just, keeping the width, keeping our system, and see how that hurts Villa. But I would say, to Sean and James's point just quickly, I think Aston Villa, I've heard Gerrard complain about this lots of times. He complains about them not starting off first halves well. He complains about them not getting out of the gates. He kind of seems to always have to go through some sort of second half speech with them, in order to get them going in the second half. So if Spurs were to come out the gates flying and maybe be 2-0 up right away in the first half, I could see this being a nice, easy game for us, because I have heard Gerrard complain lots of times about Villa not showing up in the first half.
No, look, speaking of not showing up in the first half, Jack, I mean, against Wolves, the game was done and dusted in the first half for Wolves. The Villa were all over the place. They looked like they're at the water park. They were slipping and sliding everywhere. But, Jack, this Tottenham team, though, does arrive at Villa Park on the back of 3 consecutive victories and 5 wins out of our last 6 in the Premier League. Like I asked the boys, what's their thoughts and can we keep it going? Do you believe we can keep this run going and hold on to 4th spot?
I think we should. I think I'd be surprised if we didn't. I mean, they look extraordinarily confident, the boys as well. Like, even against Newcastle, I know that they probably went into halftime a bit nervous about it, but the way that they kind of came out of it, I think it just probably only gave them even more confidence that, they actually are competing for something. I feel like they're the right sort of mentalities, the right sort of heads around this, Dave. There's no distractions with Delhi. There's no distractions with Tanguy or maybe Gio or something, that could maybe, hurt the vibe around the dressing room. I feel like the vibes look really nice right now. Everybody seems to be loving each other. Everybody seems to be going for the same goal, Antonio Conte included. So I'd be very surprised, Dave, that even if we were to go a goal down, we've talked about this before, Dave, we're apparently the best team in the league at even coming back when we go a goal down. So I expect the boys, no matter what the happens today, to definitely be giving their all and definitely to be very confident in getting a result, just because they look really confident. And I feel like I know what a confident Spurs looks like, because we never do see one.
No, spot on. And look, 14 points from losing positions this season, and the most in the Premier League. So you're absolutely spot on there, Jack, my man. But Shawnee, 2 of Tottenham's 3 wins have come against teams 13th or lower in the division. Do you think maybe we're getting a bit carried away with our form right now? Should we just be a bit more cautious?
No, because I think that, well, first of all, you can only play what's in front of you.
Yeah.
Right. And yes, we the recent run of form, ever since the Leeds game, right? We smacked it. Even against Manchester United when we lost, we played well on the day. We were the better team, man for man. It was just one guy who, put on his greatest of all time boots and decided to lace them up super tight. But the form against Manchester City was spectacular. The last time we played poorly was against Middlesbrough and Burnley before that, right? But I don't think you have to take anything with a caveat or a pinch of salt here. I genuinely feel like the tide has turned with every part. Like, you have to also factor in things like, how much time does it take for a new side to learn a new manager's very specific system, and certain players that were coming back from injury. There's lots of variables that add to the story. And I think at the moment, it's not just we're not just flat track bullies beating up teams that are weaker than us. We're just optimizing and becoming more efficient at playing a system with our best 11 that's available. And with every passing minute of football, they're only going to get better because they'll understand how to play it with more proficiency. So, look, yes, you can always, if you want to be pessimistic or kind of glass half empty, you could say, well, it's only against Brighton, it's only against these teams. But actually, if you think about it, we actually smashed Man City as well. And I think that it's a system that's optimizing game by game. And that's why I'm not confident. Also, that's why I'm not unconfident or concerned, particularly going into today.
No, I absolutely love that, Shawnee. I love it. Good answer, my man. Good answer.
An Oscar speech, and then you did the Will Smith at the end, the slap. You just absolutely fucked it. No, I'm joking.
Dave leaned in as well. Dave leaned in.
Yeah. Yes. Keep your wife's name. So anyway,
Keep the Villa win out of your mouth.
James, only 8 matches remain for this for Tottenham in the Premier League this season, and we are approaching the home straight in superb form. We have, and by the way, it's not the Grand National I'm reading out there, but we are going into the home straight in superb form. But we have Leicester, Liverpool, and Arsenal in 3 straight games between April 30th and May 12th. Are these period of 3 games what decides the top 4 for us?
As in the Liverpool, Arsenal, and Leicester games.
Yeah, they're all back to back, one after another.
I think it depends what happens before that, because obviously we got Villa away. Then I believe we have Brentford, Brighton, and then Brentford, right? So these 3 games are the first hurdle, if you like, if we're going back onto the Grand National. These are the first hurdles. And then it just depends how important they are. Like, of course, I want to believe that they're the most important bits. I think Liverpool away is going to be the one where we're most likely to drop points, of course, because they're in a title race and our form there is horrendous. But I just think we beat Villa, we beat Brighton, and we beat Brentford. And then those games, of course, are the most important. You know, they really are. They will probably decide it. And I think the Arsenal game is ultimately going to decide top 4. I've always believed that. And I think they've scheduled it at a nice later stage. So it does do that for the TV cameras. So I just think it's very much a Conte answer, but I just think we take it game by game, and then we have to see how important it is. But at the end of the day, you win the 8 games, you get top 4. Or if you win, 7 and beat Arsenal on the way, you're probably going to get top 4. So I just think, we need to focus on game by game and not get ahead of ourselves, because I know the fans will be working it out like that. They will be saying, like, we're going to drop points at Liverpool, we're going to beat Arsenal at home, and then they're probably going to say, well, Villa away is probably one of the harder away games. Leicester this year is a different animal to maybe previous seasons, so people probably fancy us to win there. People probably fancy us to beat Brighton, but I just think Villa away, out of all the away games we've got left other than Liverpool, I'm saying is the hardest game. I think we'll beat Brentford. I think Villa is the one we really need to jump over today.
No, 100%. Look, we need to get the win today. I think, look, Brighton, Brentford, I'm not too worried about them games, to be honest with you. And we need to get maximum 9 points from the next 3 games, because Leicester, Liverpool, and Arsenal, we're on great form right now. But, the thing is that's 3 tricky games, all back-to-back. Leicester, you're going to have to put in a hell of a lot of running. Liverpool, the same thing. And Arsenal's a North London derby. So the 3 games that are going to zap a lot of energy from this squad. And they're all back-to-back. So I'm hoping that we can have a nice little cushion before we head into them games, because that is going to be an absolute crucial period of games. But Jack, we'll be looking to make it. We will be looking to make it 4 victories in a row. But Villa have conceded just 22 times in the 19 league matches that Jared has overseen. One goal margin defeats to Man City, Liverpool, West Ham, and Arsenal, as well as a draw at Old Trafford, demonstrates how difficult the top teams have found it to break this stubborn defence. And Jared is sure to place an emphasis on a disciplined defensive performance. Do we have the attacking armory to open up this Villa rearguard?
I think we absolutely do, but I think what that question is kind of pointing out is that to maybe go for a 3-0, a 4-0, to go for a spanking here today would be quite rare. I mean, Aston Villa, you could actually say, with some of the results they've had this season, have been maybe the actual Burnley of this season with how they've been playing games. I've never really made it easy for anybody. Even I feel like under Dean Smith before Dave, I feel like it wasn't even that easy. They did get that goal, back against the run of play. We had to get, kind of a quick response. And I felt like we had that game in complete control, and that was even a Nuno game. And it was under complete control. And Aston Villa, all of a sudden, were able to pull one back. And I've seen it with Gerrard, the same thing, Dave. Even that Wolves game you were talking about, where they just got absolutely destroyed by Wolves. still ended up being like a 2-1 or something like that. They got a late minute penalty. So Aston Villa this season have been a very annoying team to put away. It seems like you can't really, put the game out of out of thought. You can't, get that 2-goal margin and expect it, to really be over. They seem to never really go down. They always get back up, even if they're playing absolutely terrible, which I've seen them lots of times this season play absolutely terrible, but they find a way to stay in it. So you're absolutely right, Dave. I think Spurs will have no problem probably breaking down this Villa team. But for some reason, I have a feeling, it could be like a 2-1 or a 1-0 or something like that all over again, because it seems like every team has not found it easy to be able to scrape past the Villains. It feels like every single time it's a very tough game.
Yeah, and that's what worries me a little bit coming into today's game. Look, you look at Newcastle going into the game. I think they conceded on average one goal per game over 12 games. They weren't conceding too much, but with Villa, the fact that some of the Premier League's biggest hitters have come here or have played Villa, and they have Villa have managed to only lose by a goal margin. I mean, that's not the easiest thing to do in the world. So they're very well capable of keeping it tight. But Sean, we're going to fly back to you with this one. Against well-drilled, organised outfits, we have struggled the most. Our 3 fixtures against Southampton, Wolves and Burnley all yielded 3 defeats. And there have been questions revolving around Spurs' ability to break down a structured defence. Have we learned our lessons on how to break down these teams who sit in? And are you happy have we learned our lessons on how to break down these teams that are happy with a point and happy to sit in?
Yeah, I think that there's two major differences between that period of games and what we're dealing with now. One is that we have Bentancur, right? Bentancur playing with Højbjerg. I know Bentancur was around for one of those games, I think, but for the Burnley game maybe. But we have we built relationships in the midfield. But I think the other thing that we figured out how to do is to push Doherty up on the right-hand side, to allow Romero to join him with Maisie kind of late runs to get into the box. Or on the other, when the ball's on the other side, to see Ben Davies, help assisting as well, and whoever's playing on the left, whether it be Sessegnon or Reguilón, to play effectively as an additional forward. We're essentially overflooding the final third with players, and then having clever especially on the right. I've said it before, the relationship that Doherty, Kulusevski and Højbjerg have forged together is superb. When they do overlap on the right-hand side and they do push each other up, they then create these little one-touch passes of triangles that seem to play it around and through the five-man defense that these teams usually have. And I think that's the difference. It's essentially is when we get the ball up there, having that additional man, Burnley can't, or whoever it would be, can't now, like Villa, for example, they can't man mark everyone out of the game. And then on top of that, being aware that when you're going to do that, you need to zip the ball fast and have as few touches on the ball as possible. Before, against Burnley, against Middlesbrough, against Southampton and Wolves, when we got the ball in midfield, it was very slow, it was very lethargic, and you just give them time to set up and to sit back. And ultimately, then it just wouldn't go anywhere, and we'd recycle the ball and come round and just hope that by passing the ball round at snail's pace, that eventually someone would do the pass. It wasn't happening. I think now we figured out an additional man on whichever side of the pitch the ball is on, and then one touch passes through those triangles, and generally speaking, it's working. And then once you get the first goal, everything changes, right? The other team has to then come out, and then Harry Kane can drop deep, and then can thread the balls through to Sonny or to Doherty or whoever's making those late runs into the box. So it's all about getting the first goal, and I think those triangles are the way that we do it properly now.
Let me just ask you, Shawnee, though, if Villa do sit deep, do you still envisage Harry Kane dropping deep, or do you think the instruction should be to get the ball out wide and get them in the box and keep Harry Kane in there?
He doesn't sit deep early in the games. He didn't drop deep in the first half against Newcastle. Yeah. He didn't do that against Everton. He didn't do that against Leeds. I think Man City he obviously did, right? But that's a different kettle of fish. But against the teams that are kind of low block and have these periods of pressure, it's only really after we get the goal that he then comes deep and then takes advantage of the additional space. Against Newcastle,
picks his moments. You're saying picks more
decisively. His moments. Yeah. So I'm happy for him to come deep, but I do think it's important to remember that he generally does that in the second half when the game is already opened up a little bit more, and that's what puts the game to bed.
Whereas under Jose, he just dropped deep no matter
drop
what.
deep the whole time.
Yeah.
And then sometimes there's nobody there to reach the balls that he's found or picked out. So I think what we need to figure out first is to get those those one-touch passes, those triangles. If we can then get the opener, then after that, once you go 1-0 up, once you get a 1-goal lead against teams with a low block, everything changes. Their techniques have to change. Their ideas have to change. And then when you've got Harry Kane and Sonny that can do those link-ups, then you can get 2, 3, and 4 pretty easily. But for me, the first goal should come from those clever little dynamic passes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely spot on there, Shawnee. Could not agree more with you there, my man. James, about time we brought you back in.
Love that name.
Clear of relegation, but also highly unlikely to mount a challenge for any kind of European football this season. Could it be a case we're actually just being Spursy on this panel, and actually Steven Gerrard may find it difficult to motivate a group of players who are on a poor run of form?
I think it's got to be said, maybe not quite on your question, but Steven Gerrard isn't a proven manager yet. Like he's won a league in Scotland, right? Where there's 2 teams.
During
Celtic
a
or
bad
Rangers.
time at Celtic as well.
Right? I hope I haven't offended anyone in the chat by saying that, but like he hasn't really. It's a bit like Fat Frank, like Jack was saying. It's not really. They're not experienced managers yet. They're very novice. They're just getting to grips with it, and I don't think. I think going against what I've just said there, Gerrard is a manager that will probably motivate a dressing room. I feel like he is quite, very passionate. We saw that when he was a player at Liverpool. But I think also, like, they haven't really got a lot to play for, Villa. Like you just said, they're probably not going to get Europe. They're definitely not going to get relegated. So they're going to be a mid-table team. They're probably going to finish, anywhere between sort of, I don't know, 9th and 12th. They're not exactly going to go on and... get Europe if they beat us today. But I think that does play a big part.
Could he pull off a Vieira kind of thing, James? Or, Patrick Vieira, motivated a Crystal Palace team that had nothing to play for, when you kind of think about, could he do something similar?
No, listen, Gerrard's not interviewing for the Spurs role. Vieira was interviewing for the Arsenal role. So that's the difference on that one. No, jokes aside, no, I do understand what you're saying, because Palace are in a similar boat, aren't they? They're sort of a mid-table team as well. So yeah, of course it could happen. And as Dave said on the question, are we being a bit Spurs on the panel? I don't think we are. I think we're very confident, but we always have that inkling that we know that Spurs can put up a bit of a struggle at times. But I think what Sean said was really important about Harry Kane dropping deeper in the second half. I think if we do find it hard to break down in the first half, then the second half is always a different game, because it's 1-0 or even 0-0. Harry Kane starts dropping deep, and we do find those pockets. Kulusevski goes wide, then comes inside. Song starts drifting more as a number sort of 9 up front. We do have that fluidity, whereas before, a few months ago, we didn't have that fluidity. We didn't have Kulusevski to help with the attacking line. It was very much the pressure was on Kane and Son up front. You've now got that third man that can contribute. Yes, we had Lucas at times, but again, we know he can be a little bit inconsistent. So Kulusevski, 7 goal contributions already is just unbelievable. Most amount of assists. That's the difference. 5 assists in however many games. He's only played about 10 games. I mean, it's unbelievable.
800 minutes or 755 minutes or whatever.
There's your difference for me. That's your difference straight away. That's where the goals are coming from, because we've got someone else that the defenders are always man marking Kane and Son, where actually Kulusevski is probably as much of a threat because he's not got as many men marking him.
Yeah, he could be the difference now. He could be the difference. Most teams know about Son and Kane. It's been well documented what they can do to you. But I think that's what Kulusevski has brought, is like a whole different sort of edge, a whole different sort of threat that people actually have to honor. Probably before you could say, did they really honor the Lucas threat? Probably not. They just kind of thought, if he has a worldie of a game, he has a worldie of a game, but most likely he won't, and they probably took advantage of that. Whereas Kulusevski, they just can't do that. They can't, just guard him like that.
But like with Kulusevski, he's come in and he's been able to link up with them. With Lucas, he was never really linking up with Son or Kane. He was kind of always like his own individual out on that side. And for me, you're even seeing Kane and Son look 10 times better with Kulu coming in, because he can link up with them. They know they can make the runs, or they know that this guy can actually pass a football to their feet. Look, as good as Lucas Moura is, and as hard as he works, the guy can't pass the ball to feet 9 times out of 10. You just don't know where that pass is going to go. But with Kulu, it's to your feet every time. And I bet you Kane and Son really do appreciate that. Moondog says, my Dyer bet is on and sneaked a Bentancur 1-2. Shawnee, I know you said that yesterday on Stats and Jack. You wanted to join Moondog. You wanted in on the action.
Mate, I've literally just, I saw that super chat when it first come up 2 minutes ago. I've literally got my Betfair account open right now, looking through to find a I've had a good bet, 80-1, right, on Tottenham to win both halves, Dejan Kulu to score, and Tottenham to have the most corners in each half. 80-1. That's not a bad little cheeky one. I'm trying
the corners is probably the one. The corners is probably the one that you're gonna like kind of struggle with, I bet. Because who knows? Maybe Aston Villa just get, that wouldn't be tough. That would be tough. I feel bad for Moondog though, because I've said this before, Sean, because I feel like every other defender has scored bar Eric Dyer so far.
Yeah. If only he could take the free kicks, Moondog might have a chance of getting that. But Moondog, I'd love to know.
Sanchez has 2. Emerson sort of has 2. Doherty has, a couple. Reguilon has one. And Davies has 1. Romero.
Yeah, he's got one. He scored against Brighton. I was over there.
Romero has one.
Everybody.
Everybody but Dyer.
I feel bad for Moondog.
I'd love
Keep it
to
strong,
know,
though. Keep the faith, Moondog. Keep the faith.
I'd love to know how much money he stands to win if Dyer ever gets the goal versus how much money he's spent on the bets over the last however many seasons waiting for him to score.
He's probably done like £201 bets, and if it comes in, he gets £200. You might as well just like save your bank statements, Yeah,
keep going. Just keep going.
But big up Moondog, the only man
Love
that's
you,
invested
Moondog.
more into moon boots than his own parents. Big yourself up, my man. Absolute legend. Big up Moondog. And I really actually am praying for you today that does come in, to be honest with you. It's been a long time coming. And he says Bentancur to score first, 55-1. Not a bad one.
He needs to have a shot. He needs to have a shot before he can score a goal. I don't think he's had a shot for Tottenham, has he?
Bentancur. He had one against Newcastle. He
had one against West Ham.
He had the shot that led to the corner for our goal.
Fair enough.
Top knowledge there, Dave. It's like you've watched it like 700 times.
Might be on the quiz today. How many shots of Bentancur have? Real exciting stuff.
My memory's incredible, James. It's absolutely incredible. John Blank says still about 5 minutes from Dele Alli substitution and a late goal versus Man United. Yeah, look, hopefully United get spanked. That'd be absolutely love it. But big up, John. We have Johnny Wade. He's wading in here in the comments. You got to love it. He says, let's get all the players who haven't scored yet this season to score today. Lloris is excused. No, we can give Hugo a penalty, my man. Get Hugo up there for an out penalty. That'd be lovely. Bobby K says, exactly, James. Spreading out the goal responsibility is massive. And the reason we have 21 goals in 6 games. Absolutely spot on. And Gabriel, when we're playing as a team, good synergy, belief in each other, and mental strength I've never seen before. They are playing as one. Absolutely spot on, Gabriel. Absolutely spot on. Lovely comment. But look, Sean, we'll go to you because I want to show this one I specifically put together for you, Sean. Specifically, and then the next one I specifically put together for Jack. But okay. Sean, it does appear that Antonio Conte has found his preferred lineup, and the 3-4-3 does look here to stay. Are you happy with this formation going forward? As a lot of pundits and maybe fans were asking questions around the formation a few weeks ago. Rightly so, may I add.
No, I like it at the moment. I think it's great. I think it works because we don't have any other options in midfield, right? With Skippy out injured, we only have really two go-to players that we'd like to see, in the starting 11, and so it's a fait accompli, right? And we got the offensive threats. I would like us to have the ability through investment in the summer, through the return of injuries to people like Skippy. Yeah. I'd like us to have the ability to pivot, not just to stay with a back three and go to a 3-5-2, but I'd also like to see us, if necessary, to be able to go to a 4-2-3-1 or a variety of different formations. I think all good teams have to have a plan B with a team that looks completely different. So, but at the moment, you can't argue with 21 goals or whatever it is in 5 games. And the fact that we have, we've been very good or fairly solid defensively as well. So I'm happy with the formation, but like anything, teams get predictable. If Tottenham stick with the 3-4-3 and always play the 3-4-3, eventually teams in the other Premier League teams will figure out how to how to suffocate the life out of, how to figure out how to handle Kane if he comes deep, how to, to track Sonny better or Matt Doherty, or how to suffocate, Kulu out of the game. All those things happen, right? It's just the evolution of strategy. So I'm happy with how it goes at the moment, but I would like to see us, like I say, with the return of a couple of injured players and also with some serious investment, I'd like for us not just to improve the positions we already have with the intention to continue playing 3-4-3, but also to purchase some players that allow us to play some other formations as well. Keep everybody guessing, right?
I actually think you're spot on there, Sean. It would be nice to have, in certain games, if you need the option, to drop an extra man in midfield that you trust. Not Harry Winks, because that's like dropping a 2-year-old into the midfield. It's just never going to work. But you need to put a proper player in there. But you also, I agree with you, Sean, it would be nice even to have, in-game, be able to change to a 4 at the back if needs be, and bring on players to bolster up further up the field and stuff like that. So you're absolutely spot on, Sean. It is about having options at the end of the day. So hopefully we can get them options in the summer to be able to give Conte more flexibility and more options in his match day plans for sure. And Jack, why have we seen such a dramatic improvement in our 3-4-3 formation? And does it put an end to the notion that players need to be playing in their preferred position to see the best out of them?
I mean, yeah, Dave, it's a great question. To maybe I'll probably go backwards in this question to end that little, last bit of it. The kind of notion that every player needs to play in their preferred position in order for the system to work. I think that's kind of a utopian sort of way to look at things. I think there is going to be a few players that are not going to play in their preferred position, or even play in a role that's not really their preferred one, play with maybe certain instructions that they don't probably prefer. To say that every player would be satisfied with, the manager's instructions or the manager's tactics, I think is just, somebody's going to be unhappy. Even in the starting 11, you could say somebody might be a bit unhappy, secretly. So I think we could put that aside. And it really, Dave, it just shows that that's maybe why you trust the manager. If the manager knows that that's what makes him successful, if the manager knows that's what wins him games, you have to kind of bow down to that. Even as a player, I mean, you're paid enough money, we all know, in order to be bowing down to that. And if you see that it's working, and if you see that it's successful, then you continue to do it, and you kind of buy into it a bit more, I would probably say. And then, Big Fat Frank, proving me wrong this coming weekend, especially after the embarrassing Burnley result, but we plow on. But Dave, to answer maybe the other kind of part of that question, I feel like maybe it's just the fact that Bentancur has come in and has proven that maybe you don't need a 3-man midfield in every system. Probably as Spurs fans, Dave, we've been so used to kind of having three or four even kind of bodies kind of, knocking about in the central areas of the pitch. And now with Højbjerg and Bentancur, we're kind of getting rid of that notion that you really need 3 men in the midfield. Even as Spurs fans were constantly saying, we need to get that number 10. We need to get a creative playmaker, a creative midfielder, something that Antonio Conte even himself doesn't exactly use very much. So really, Dave, you could say it's Bentancur kind of taking away that notion that you need 3 men in the midfield. Sometimes you really can get away with 2. You can get away with more industrious, kind of hardworking, good tackling, kind of all around, all action sort of midfielders. You don't always need, a Christian Eriksen in there. You don't always need some sort of Tanguy and Ndombele or Gio in there, to make things work. You can get away with 2 men in the midfield. And I think the reason why it wasn't working before, Dave, is because we were trying to get away with Winks, being part of that 2-man midfield. And now with Bentancur coming in, we're showing that really all it needed was just, a bit of a fix in the midfield. And all of a sudden we're looking like a better team. Probably even my last little bit, Dave, sorry for dragging on. In the Kinnicky Answer Me for extra time, everybody went with Bentancur, I think, for who's the biggest improvement, kind of on the squad.
Yeah, it was a very tough question, though, Jack. It was a very tough
who's
one.
Had the biggest impact,
let's get that out there.
Needed the biggest fixing. The midfield had the biggest cleanup that needed to be made, and Bentancur has certainly fixed it. So I would say it's a combination of Bentancur, Dave, and then the other part, like, somebody's not going to play in their preferred position, and they just have to get over it.
No, 100%. And look, one
Jack
thing
with
about
his evil extra time questions.
they were evil. They were
help me out, actually. All of a sudden, who knew that evil one would help me out?
It's like, who do you love more, your mother or your father? I mean, like, I'm supposed to answer that question.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous.
It's more like it's more not even that. It's like, who's more responsible for your birth?
It's
just like you have to say it in front of them. You have to say it in in front of him.
Oh, it was absolutely ridiculous, and loads of people piling in here after the United Everton game.
Yeah.
What are you doing watching that game when you have Spurs content creators on talking about our game coming up this evening? But it's good to see everybody. United losing to Everton 1-0, absolutely buzzing. That's their top 4 hopes. Finito. Gotta love it. But just back to what Jack was saying. I mean, one thing I'm actually really happy about this season is how badly Winks has been exposed. I mean, we put ourselves in a position where we're talking about, is he a defensive midfielder? Is he calm? He can't, like, why are we playing a centre midfield when he needs to be playing higher up? No,
we said we need 3 men in the midfield because of Winks. Winks put this blinder over our eyes that like there needs to be 3 people in the midfield when maybe it was because we have Winks, but it's also the notion that we were saying that in the first place is a bit kind of crazy where there are a bunch of systems out there where you really only have 2 midfielders and that's really all that you need. You don't need 3 midfielders to cover up for someone else. Sorry, Dave.
No. And like Ollie Skip coming in takes away the homegrown, so there is no need for Winksy next season whatsoever. But I'm just delighted how exposed this guy has been because I've seen over the last couple of years he'll come in, he'll have 1 good game, 2 good games, and everyone's like, oh, it's Winksy Esta. We can use him here, we can get him to do this. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, no, you can't. The guy doesn't have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 38 games in him a season. You can't get him to do any of this. And I'm delighted with how badly he's been exposed. So hopefully we can send him over to Spain or to Italy where maybe he can go and thrive out there. But, even the likes of when we had Lo Celso, Ndombele, Dele Alli. Dele Alli gets a chance. No, we need to play him in calm. Same as Ndombele. No, we need to play him here. Lo Celso, we need to play there. Bullcrap. You got 11 players who want the same thing. You can put them in any position on the field and it'll work out. You look at Matt Doherty played left wing back the other day. He's not a left wing back. No one was sitting there after the game going, no, he needs to be playing in his favourite position. I'm absolutely Ben Davies, notoriously left back all his career, now playing left sided centre back. Again, you don't have to play players. See, the problem is we wanted to play players in their preferred positions, and they were crying because they weren't playing in their preferred positions. But they weren't crying when they came through all the youth ranks, all the way up to the professional ranks. They fitted in style, they fitted in formations, and they played out of position all the way through and never complain once. But then when they get to Tottenham Hotspur, they feel like they deserve to play in these positions. So I'm absolutely delighted that that has been shown up. It's not the case. You just need 11 players that want to play for Tottenham Hotspur. Dark Song G says Everton beat Man United 1-0. Come on, you Spurs. Now 2 more to lose soon. Yeah, look, Arsenal are taking on Brighton at 3 o'clock. Hopefully Brighton can do us a favour. I know it's James' local. He lives down that way. So hopefully James Mope can start today and we can have Tygo and Mope your cheat round 2. That'd be absolutely loving it. But big up to each other. Really appreciate the support, my man. He also says Blues and Gooners are going to lose before we play is my hope. Do you know what, Dark Sunji? I was a bit nervous maybe that Arsenal playing, does it kind of affect Spurs? Does it put them off? But I was sitting there thinking last night, I was like, David, stop being an idiot. You've got Conte in charge. You're just going to tell them not to worry about the game and worry about yourselves. So hopefully that is the case, Dark Sunji. Big yourself up, brother. Really, really do appreciate the support, my man. You're a top guy. And any stats from you, actually, Dark Sunji? I have no stats today from you. Any stats heading into today's game? And Adrian Chaya says, Winks is a tidy player, so tidy he takes no risk. Big up, Adrian. Absolutely love that. He's more worried about his hair than passing a football forward. Absolutely.
I'd love to see him do like a parallel park, Dave. When he does a parallel park, he probably does like 17 moves, in order to get in. That takes absolutely no risk. In fact, he probably circles the block like 30 times in order to look for a better spot.
His hands never waver from 10 and 2, ever. It's locked at 10 and 2.
A 3-point turn for Harry Winks. It takes him 25 times to do it by the time he's finished going backwards. In fact, he probably reverses everywhere. He loves going backwards that much. But look, with Winks, I'm not finished with this guy because the dreadful football we were playing with him in the team. No, honestly, take yourself back to the football we were watching with him in that midfield. It was absolutely dross. It was terrible.
No,
So
people
big up
were
Dave for
forgetting what a
trying-
midfielder looks like, Dave. That's how bad it got. People are forgetting what a midfielder does. They started making excuses for him, thinking, oh, this is how you get the best out of him. It was getting bad, Dave. No, you're right.
No, it was. It was getting very bad. I was losing my rag. Faz Radfire says, no, honestly, there's nothing worse gets me more riled up than a Harry Winks fan. Faz Radfire says, Arsenal will lose today. No doubt. Heard it from me, Fazzy. I really do hope so, brother. I really do hope so. We could do with the Gooners losing again. I mean, look, they just didn't like the taste of eagle last week. I don't know what was wrong with them. They tried to order a second meal. They weren't allowed. They were told, no, you have to have the eagle. Well, the eagle got the best of them. That's what it's about at the end there, Fazzy. And hopefully Brighton can do the same, beat them up, and then maybe just to kind of smooth them over, bring them down to the seaside, get them a stick of rock, and tell them to shove it up their arse because I hate them. Absolutely love it. Big up, Faz Radfire. What a man. What a man. But
bit of a seagull today. Eagles on Monday, bit of seagull on Saturday. How about that?
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. But you love seagulls, James, because you moved down there. So James, while we're on you, we'll stick with you. How important? And by the way, actually, how could I forget? Hashtag bring back that mullet. We want James to get his mullet back. James,
Go out of you boys.
how important is it today that we eliminate silly set pieces like the one where Doherty just gave away a ridiculous no-need corner against West Ham? Sonny bringing down the Newcastle player on the edge of the box, because it will end up being costly, and they have been costly the last couple of games. It's the only way teams have been able to score against us, and it's due to our own fault.
Yep.
And they also have the free kick wizard, Philip Coutinho, aerial threats like Ollie Watkins, Tyrone Mings. So how important is it that we don't give them away any stupid set pieces?
Very, very important, because if we're talking about getting filled with confidence, our play improving, we finally know how to break down low block teams. The one thing I feel like we haven't improved on like hardly at all is the fact that our corners are absolutely, like, defending from corners is awful. And we saw it against Newcastle. I believe like their goal kind of came from a corner, didn't it? In a way, it was like floating around in the box, but also like even after that, there was a couple of corners that went in, and Dan Burn, 6'8", Dan Burn was unmarked at the back post, by the way. And I'm just sitting there thinking, if that's a better player, if that's a better, attacking player that knows how to put a corner away, a bit like Cristiano Ronaldo did when he scored at the end of that game against Man United. I'm just sitting there thinking, Villa do have some aerial threats, like you just said, like Tyrone Mings, and it just does scare me. As soon as we get a corner, it's probably the most frightened I am in a game where, that ball goes in and we're not really marking properly. Like, we've seen it time and time again. We saw it with Tanganga early in the season. Okay, yeah, he's not going to be playing, but, we've seen it with Dyer on occasions. We've seen it on Davies where they do lose their man. They do just lose. It's a lapse of concentration. And I don't know why it hasn't improved, because I don't know if you guys agree. I just don't think it's improved, because like I said, against Newcastle, they could have scored a couple from corners. So Villa, arguably, just as good in the air, if not better, like you said. It's got to be a concern, and we've got to lock it up.
Yeah, no, absolutely spot on, because, especially not trying to give away any stupid corners, because to be fair, we don't actually usually win the first ball from the corner a lot of the times. It's usually the opposition player that wins it, and then it just causes us a bit of trouble. Anything in and around the box, I want to see Hugo Lloris make up for his mistake last week and come out, be confident, claim anything in and around that 6-yard box, the penalty area, that he can. Dark Sung G says, if Son scores one more goal, his goal count will go to 85, which is tied with Torres and Hazard. If he scores 2 more, he'll be tied with Teddy Sheringham. Absolutely love it. Tied with what, my man? Tied. What's the record, lad?
Probably Premier League goals, I would imagine. Premier League goals. Getting past Torres and Hazard is certainly, like, I think another wake-up call for anybody that doesn't, really want to give Sonny the credit that he deserves, to be fair, because, I don't know, Fernando Torres and Hazard, during their peaks were practically the best players in the Premier League, in certain eras, especially Hazard, over at Chelsea was easily one of the best players in the Premier League. Fernando Torres, during his days at Liverpool, was just probably one of the best young strikers in the world. So Sonny, I mean, him surpassing them with still plenty of more time to play, still plenty of more goals, to be scored. I think just further statement that Sonny is undoubtedly a very unforgettable Premier League player. Big up Dark Sun G.
No, Dark Sun G, and hopefully we can get some more goals from your fellow countryman today. You know,
there's the stat, Dave. There's the stat you were asking for.
Yeah, but I absolutely love it. You know, tied with Torres and Hazard. I mean, it's not bad company to be in, to be honest with you.
I don't like Hazard, so I don't think that's good company, to be honest with you. I think he's a prick.
Yeah, but you're talking. Yeah, but to be fair, he did like.
No, Chelsea, he's a class player. I was joking around. He's a class player, of course. And like Jack said, Torres at Liverpool was just unbelievable. Like, what a player! One of my favourite strikers to watch.
Yeah, especially at Chelsea when he was missing sitters week in, week out. Hey, I love that. But big up, Dark Sun G. Really do appreciate the support, my man. Really do.
Talking about players I don't really like, just quickly going back to the Brighton thing, I've just seen Danny Welbeck's lining up against Arsenal. So that would be absolutely so rent-free if he scored today against Arsenal. That would be absolutely brilliant.
No, absolutely spot on. Big up, Dark Sun G, brother. Really do appreciate support, and everyone keep smashing that like, that subscribe, and any questions you have for us, you know, feel free to get them in a super chat. Why not? It's a Spurs day, and it's a great way to support the channel. But Shawnee,
also Ribsy85 celebrating 9 months. Sorry, Dave, to cut across you. Celebrating 9 months as a green member, saying the lads, come on, you Spurs, love the show, guys. Big up Ribsy85, absolute man.
Big up Ribsy. He's awake on the couch today. We didn't have to set any alarms for him or play any loud music. Big up Ribsy. You gotta love it. But Shawnee, I want to bring you back in. I want to take you off that betting account. I know you're looking at Betstar. I can see it, lad. Vigorously looking at
the Moondog are collaborating.
I can't help it. There's some juicy ones. Sorry, 150-1 on on a hat trick for Harry Kane and Tottenham to win both halves. That's not bad. I was thinking about having a little crack on that one as well.
You and Moondog need to get together and do a 10-15 minute pre-weekend bet show. So you do yourself and Moondog. But look, Shawnee.
How to lose your money in 5 minutes.
I love it. And do you know what? I'd probably be dumb enough to do it as well, Sean. So it's people like me, you know, make sure you put good ones out there. But Shawnee, Leeds did make an error versus Newcastle for their goal. And perhaps we have seen more errors creep into Hugo's game this season, more than any other season, in my opinion. But he is still one of the division's best shot stoppers when on form. So what does Hugo have to do between now and the end of the season to prove to any doubting Spurs fans out there that he should be number one next season?
Look, I think the thing about the goal, obviously it goes without saying, right? Like if a goalkeeper makes a mistake, it's punished. And it can absolutely ruin a game for everyone. Every other player on the pitch can make a mistake and it not lead to anything that's consequential. And, you know, and certain positions can make 10 mistakes. And then on the 11th, they get it right and it wins the game and they're the hero. So like it's a very difficult position. And Hugo has done far more right for Tottenham than he's done poorly. But since he signed his contract, since January, you could make the argument that his confidence has gone, or he's distracted, or something's happened where his usual calm demeanor is, you know, is slipping. It's not so calm, right? It's kind of slipping by the wayside. What I think he needs to do, and it would be brilliant. I don't want him to have to do it because it would mean that there's an opportunity for someone to score. But put in a worldie, like go out of his way, like, you know, somehow, you know, if someone, whoever it might be, Danny Inks today goes and heads the ball and it goes top locker, and Hugo Lloris comes out of nowhere and tips it over the bar, and everyone gives him a little rub on the head and tells him well done. You know, that will get his confidence back.
Yeah. And
confidence in their goalkeeper is everything, right? Or, you know, God forbid we can see the penalty. Last season, I think he saved, like, it was very, like, maybe it was the season before, he had a series of like 5, I think he saved 5 penalties out of 7 in a row, right? And it was, I think he saved one against Man City as well. So just something needs to happen where it's not just a run of the mill game where he has one save to make and it goes wrong. He needs to have an opportunity where his confidence is snapped back into gear and he reminds himself he is the best goalkeeper. He is Tottenham's number one. He is France's number one. He's a World Cup winner and his career's not over. So snap back into concentration mode. And that probably happens easiest by him pulling out a worldie. The only problem is that I don't really want him to have to do that. I want us to have, you know, a run of games now where we can, you know, like against Newcastle, I think he didn't have to make a save apart from the free kick. There was nothing else he had to do. So he didn't have a chance to redeem himself. But so I say it with a pinch of salt. I don't want him to have to save, but if he does have to make a save, I'd love him to make an absolute worldie, and that would snap him back into gear and get him back on the right track. Because I just think at the moment maybe he's either his concentration's gone or his confidence is gone, one or the other. And for a goalkeeper, you need both.
No, absolutely spot on, Shawnee. You are absolutely spot on. And at the end of the day, look, a keeper relies on his confidence, to be honest with you. A confident keeper has a good game most weeks. It's just with Hugo Lloris, I do agree. There's something going on there that maybe he's lacking a bit of confidence. I'll be honest with you. You know, I look at him. He doesn't look the same either. He doesn't look like the same Hugo from last season. He just looks a bit different. There looks like there's something missing, whether it's the confidence, whether there's something outside their life affecting him. I'm not sure. But
back on the booze, maybe. There was a problem.
Well, he did get a drink driving ban after the World Cup.
Yeah. Back at the start of his career, someone was telling me that he had a proper. He used to go home from training and knock back, you know, half a bottle of vodka, and he red wine. That was it. He loves his red wine. Yeah. So maybe I don't know. Maybe he's having troubles in his personal life. Who knows? You know, we're speculating. That would be wrong to speculate incorrectly. But sorry, man. I stepped in. Sorry, what's your point?
Rimsey says, you know, when Sean isn't making all the high pitch noises, he's talking the truth. Big up. No, but look, there definitely is something going on with Hugo at the minute. And you just look at him, he looks a bit, I don't know, I wouldn't say disinterested, but he looks a bit distant from everybody else. And hopefully now we can get that back, because he's been a wonderful servant, and I really love the guy. I really do love the guy.
On Lloris, Dave,
of course you can, lads. You can make as many points as you want on any questions ever. You can
I think there's
can all come in on every question. You know that, guys, yeah?
There's two ways of going about it. You know, I think there's a sentimental argument that you make for Lloris, because kind of it's like the Harry Kane argument. Really good servant to the club. On record, has been an unbelievable player for this team. At one stage was a world-class goalkeeper. You could even maybe still make that argument. I wouldn't say this season, but probably could make that argument last season. I think there's that sentimental argument you can make about Lloris.
Yeah.
If you were to look at it really harshly and look at it really kind of plainly, you could make the argument that he's one of those keepers that I think is kind of going to be extinct in the next 5 or 6 years. Every keeper now in the modern era has to be good with their feet. You know, most players that, you know, play for high level clubs, they're playing with managers that want to play a game that involves, you know, keeping a lot of possession, involves, you know, not giving up the ball away unnecessarily. And a lot of that has to do with the goalkeeper, and Hugo Lloris being a very old goalkeeper is part of that old era of one that wasn't really, you know, a thing that really needed to be worried about. And so when Hugo, if he's not good with his feet, the moment he starts making kind of mistakes, Dave, the moment that he starts making kind of blunders and whatnot, you then kind of have to question, is he the right goalkeeper for a top level club? Because he either needs to be making world-class saves, and then maybe you get away with maybe what he can do with his feet, or he needs to be really good with his feet, and then maybe you take the occasional blunder. That's why like Ederson plays for Man City. I actually don't think Ederson is like the best shot stopper in the world by any means, but because he's so good with his feet, they're able to keep possession and be able to play the way they want to play. And I think, you know, that sort of goalkeeper is going to be the goalkeeper of the future. And Hugo eventually is going to, you know, players like him are going to be, you know, gone of the past. So he just needs to kind of turn it on. And like Sean said, you know, make a few more world-class saves to remind us why he's still here.
Completely agree with that, Jack. Absolutely agree with what you just said, man.
And that's what all of us Spurs fans want at the end of the day. We want him to get back to his best. We want him to look. We're a very sentimental fan base. Very sentimental. You know, we absolutely worship the players that are the ground that our players walk on. We really do. So look, we all want Hugo Lloris to get back to the very best, and I just hopefully he can. I just hope that we're not seeing the gradual decline of someone that has been absolutely amazing since 2012, since he arrived. James, would you like to have your say on Hugo Lloris, my man?
Yeah, I was just also going to say we're very sentimental, but I also think that a lot of our fan base is quite reactionary. Like, you know, one or two bad performances. I do agree it hasn't been his best season, but I also think like you think last season he was probably our player of the season along with Kane, and then this season he has been, you know, he's shown signs he's brilliant, and his distribution isn't like Jack was saying, like his distribution's never been the best. He's a classic goalkeeper, he's a shot stopper, and you know he's won the World Cup. Like he's obviously a very, very, very good goalkeeper, but I also think, like I said at the start, we're a bit reactionary. Like he can make a man of the match performance today, and everyone's forgotten about it. Like, everyone's back onto
That's what we're
Hugo
saying.
Lloris.
That's what he needs to do. That's kind of what it is. Yeah.
So I think, personally, I don't think I quite agree with it's the start of it. Is it the start of his decline? I don't think it is. Like, I think goalkeepers have, some goalkeepers go on to 40, don't they? 40 years old, and I think Lloris is 35 or something around that. So, I just think he still has a couple more years left, which is why we signed him on those couple more years. But also, maybe he's not at his peak. There's obviously that argument, but also I think it's so nice and it shows what a legend he is. Yeah. Signing not only a 2-year deal to stay on, but also he said he wants to find that next goalkeeper for Spurs. Like, that just shows what a hero he is in my eyes.
Yeah. I agree, James. And that's why I think you have to find that balance between looking at it kind of objectively, like what someone from the outside would look at it like, and maybe that was the argument I was trying to make. If you weren't a Spurs fan, what would you say about Lloris? But then you also have to bring into account, like you said, the guy only wants to do right by the club. And I think if he knew he was past it, I think he would, wouldn't want to keep going with Spurs. Also, knowing the pressure of being a Premier League keeper, I don't think anybody just signs up for that. I think he knows that he still wants to achieve something. So absolutely stick by him. Well said, James.
Spot on. Great conversation there on Hugo. Actually, really enjoyed listening to everyone's points. Really, really good. The Bolton Duta says, Conte's mind games are on a different level. Every time he was asked about top 4, he mentioned Man United being a team ready to win the Premier League. Gegenpressers just lost to Everton. Now we need to win. Come on, you Spurs. I mean, Jack, anything you want to say to the Bolton Duta?
Wreck-It Ralph versus Big Fat Frank, it's a good clash there, actually, between kind of incompetent managers. And of course, it finished in a 1-0, as well, which is kind of hilarious. But the bottom Duda, I mean, the mind games of Conte, I'm sure, are probably top level. I would imagine, he even gets Karen Klopp, pretty rattled as well. He probably doesn't even pay any attention over to Arteta. But as well, I mean, it's good to see that Man United, did, kind of succumb maybe to the pressure or maybe some of the mind games that Antonio Conte was giving him, my man. And also Ralph Rangnick, it seemed like he kind of tried a little bit with the mind games before Spurs. And then, it's just come back to bite him, with that nice little defeat to Everton. So good to see you in here as
well. Jack, did you have a nickname for Arteta then?
The Sharteta?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
Look, when it
plenty of them over here. The Lego head, was the original. Sharteta came about, I think, 6-7 months ago.
The hair that can't be moved. There's so many nicknames for him. So we do. Me and Jack.
Well, the script. He's got the script. The hair that can't be moved.
Epscone.
Oh, you gotta love it. But the Bolton Duta, absolutely big yourself up. Look, Conte is on a different level altogether. Look. Ronaldo won Wreck-It Ralph that game, but that Wreck-It Ralph guy, he does think he's Sir Alex Ferguson. He tries to do mind games in the press. In fact, all he's missing is the stick of gum. That's all he needs is that stick of gum that Sir Alex Ferguson used to have. But I'm absolutely delighted that they lost to Everton. And look, we just need to win now. Just need to win. That puts United completely out of top 4 race. Hopefully Brighton do us a favour, and then it's all ours. But even if Arsenal win, guys, it's still in our own destiny. Yes, they have a game in hand. We've got a North London derby at home to put that right. So, hopefully, we just got to keep winning, especially these next 3 games. So important to Bolton do it. Just got to keep winning. But big up, my man. Absolutely love it. United have some serious issues over there at the minute. Serious issues. Andrew says, come on, you Spurs. 4-0. Kane with 1, Son with 2, and Darty with 1. Absolutely loving that. Absolutely loving it. Look, Sonny, I do think we'll score today. I think Kane will score today. Outside of that, I'm not sure. But look, if Doherty smacks one in, I'm all for it. That'll give him 7 goal involvement since 2022. Be absolutely buzzing. But big up, Andrew.
Big up, Andrew.
Really do appreciate the support. And hopefully you do enjoy the game today. And we can get the win. And anyone that wants to join in and watch the game with myself, Jack, and Sean, we will be kicking it off at 5:15 this afternoon, guys. But Andrew,
really generous.
Really appreciate the support, guys. Dark Zone G, if Gooner's first 11 can score today, they have no one can't score today. They have no one to score off the bench slot. Their only attacking option off the bench is Pepe and Nketiah. Laughing my ass off. Yeah, look, that and Ketia. I mean, honestly, he wouldn't hit a barn door with a bulldozer. He just could not. He would not find a target with it. Honestly, he just wouldn't. Lack of threat. Don't really expect him to do much. I might get one, but I don't expect him to do much.
Lack of threat.
Yeah, and as for PP, I mean, honestly, the guy is like, I think, you know, he's definitely high goal seat champion. The guy's been missing. They spent what, 80 million on PP.
Well,
you know,
Dave, that's what I was going to say. Puts the Tanguy and Dembele, transfer into context. If Spurs, I know we still should be ashamed of what Steve Hitchens spent on that. But like, you still have to laugh at Nicola Pepe being like 70 million, I think it was. Yeah, like 80 million or something it was, Dave. Like more than Tanguy's.
You can buy 2 Kulus for that.
With Tanguy, despite becoming, Indom, burgers and everything, we at least knew that he was a good player, even when even when we left, it's like, he can still run the show if he wants to. With Nicola Pepe, you're just like, is there even a 70 million pound player in there?
The difference is we're willing to try and cut our losses. We sent Lord of the Fries over to France, to try and offload him. Whereas, like PP, I'm actually convinced they thought they were buying Pele for that sort of money, to be honest with you. It's absolutely ridiculous, the money they spent there. And Dark Sung-ji, do not worry about it. The hair that can't be moved. Look, they're not getting a result today. I'm so confident that Brighton will turn them over today. I really am. Look, Arsenal don't have a happy time bird hunting. Seagulls, eagles, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. They do not like them. So Dark Sun G, I'm with you today, my man. Come on. Big up. The bottom dude, it says Lloris is doing better than what Conte got with Handanovic at Inter. But he is coming close. Inter are going for Onana. We need to step up pursuit for a number 2. Who wants to come in on this one? Jack, Sean, James, Aeneas chomping at the bit for it.
Sean, what are your thoughts? Like, maybe you could bounce off my quick point. He's making a good point that Handanovic, ancient keeper, that Conte was able to work with. He could definitely do the same with Lloris. I think that's a great point to Bottom Duda makes. It actually puts probably my argument kind of a bit down, puts it more into context. But they brought in Onana, who's a younger keeper. Like I was saying, Sean, would you rather the number 2 keeper that we bring in be kind of like I was saying, that modern keeper, the one that's kind of more for the future, one that can play with his feet, be more kind of that mold of keepers that we all kind of know keepers are going to eventually look like?
Yeah, I think that there's so much more to a goalkeeper than just shot stopping. There's distribution, and Lloris is particularly poor at at quick, fast
just
deliveries.
Inconsistent at it. I think he'll have one good moment of distribution, and then you'll pass the ball back to him, and it takes him 2-3 touches to get it under control. And then that's like when you're kind of like, okay, that can hurt us.
So there's distribution is an element that I don't think he's special at. There's coming and claiming the balls from corners and set pieces. There's kind of leadership within the area. There's setting up for free kicks, getting the wall correct. There's penalty saves. Lloris is great at penalty saves, or he has been in the past. We haven't faced too many touchwood this season, but there's like of the 7 or 8 aspects that Lloris or that any goalkeeper needs to be great at in going forward. Lloris is brilliant, or has always been brilliant at 2 of them, but pretty average at best at many of the others. I'd like to see a goalkeeper that comes in who Lloris can maybe train or whatever, and have that kind of nurturing relationship with, but somebody who, like your point, Jack, I think you made a great point earlier. There's just the new age of a goalkeeper, someone that can come and play the sweeper, someone that's fast, someone that, that has great decision making, but also someone that can, deliver balls. Because if he can deliver those balls long, then it also doesn't, it means that you don't need to have the defense set up the way you do. You haven't got to put so much pressure on Romero to be doing those long balls, or Dyer, or
more press resistant. Yeah.
More press resistant. There's all sorts of benefits to having a goalkeeper that can do the things that Hugo can't. And so the bottom duder, like whilst maybe Lloris is doing better than what Conte had at hand, at Inter Milan, that doesn't soothe any ails for me. Like I'm not worried about Inter. I'm worried about Tottenham. And of late, I think it's not just the sloppy goals. Sometimes he's come rushing out of the box to try and clear the ball up, and he's got it all sorts of wrong. We haven't been punished from any of those yet, but all you need is one, and the top 4 wheels can come off, right? If it happens at the wrong time. So I think it's time to start looking for the next guy who's going to eventually replace Hugo Lloris, and that's why I don't want the West Brom guy to come in for anything more than just a stopgap for one season, because I don't see him being good enough to take us forward when Hugo Lloris is retired or sunset in a couple of years' time. So I'd rather we go and find someone who's 22, 23, and pay up. If it costs us money, if it costs 30 million, it's such an important position. Pay the money, right? Like when Liverpool got rid of Coutinho and they had that 150 million quid, they didn't do what Tottenham did with the Bale money and go and spread it around 11 players. They went 2 players. They went and got Virgil van Dijk and they went and got Alisson. Right? And that for me is sensible reinvestment in 2 key core positions that are going to be there for the next 5-10 years of a Liverpool rebuild. Tottenham need to rebuild the goalkeeper position. Don't shortchange it. Don't go and just put a stopgap or paper over the cracks. Go out and find the right guy who can do all of the things that Jack's already spoken about and get it right and let the guy be bled in gently, whatever it is. Whether that's the Irish keeper that you guys love so much, I don't know. I'm not.
It is.
Zuno
is the one. He is the one, and he is ours. So he's almost kind of like, I swear, like if we were to get him, we would just be set. He's like, the Luke Skywalker, I swear, of like keepers. I swear, he's like he's the reincarnation. I swear, he is the reincarnation of Manuel Neuer, in my opinion. And I never thought. I never thought that, Neuer would leave, like an egg of himself, somewhere, but he left it off in Ireland. For him to come back. It's beautiful to see. But to bottom Duda, really do appreciate it. Led a good discussion. And really generous as well.
I was just going to say, I think just quickly going on Sean's point of like spending to try and replace Lloris, I think that is such a key point. Like everything you said there, Sean, I completely agree. And obviously, Jack's point about like the evolution of goalkeepers, we're going to be more of looking for a distribution-based goalkeeper that's got good reflexes. But, the traditional goalkeepers are becoming a thing of the past. I don't want to repeat what's being said, but obviously like De Gea, Lloris, and maybe Schmeichel are like the last of the traditional goalkeepers, the shot stoppers, but they're not good with their feet. I mean, if Kasper Schmeichel comes out a goal, he gets turned around by Bergwijn a couple of times. But listen, I don't know exactly who it is. Maybe it is this Irish guy, but I do think what I don't want to see is what Sean said. It is buying like a goalkeeper next season for 20 million, then it doesn't work, then buying another one for 20 million, and then by the time you've done it, you spent 100 million. You're thinking, well, you might as well have spent 60 million on a goalkeeper by messing around and getting bad results. So I think it's so important we do read our scouting system, and Paratici does the business this summer, or maybe even definitely in the next year.
Spot on, and big up the bottom too. I really appreciate the support. And look, just quickly for me, I mean, look, I think we all know that we're going to be looking for his replacement over the next 2 years anyway, so I'm not too concerned on that. But I definitely think that there is a shout to change captains this summer, because, look, you're looking at a Tottenham team who are chasing top 4, and your captain, who is supposed to give you that mentality, supposed to give you that steel, supposed to give you the best performances and lead by example on the pitch, has been making mistakes. So I definitely do think that there is maybe a shout to talk about club captain or change club captain in the summer. Dark Sun G says Brighton have a way better bench today. Gooners and L is 90% going to happen.
First prediction he got right, and maybe the second one's happening today, Dark Sun G. Big up, my man.
I hope so, Dark Sun G. I really do hope so, my man.
Danny Welbeck. I'm calling it now. Danny Welbeck. Everyone's going to remember, however many people are watching. Danny Welbeck is going to do us a favour against his old club. It's going to be brilliant.
Apparently, they've got Cucurella's playing centre-back.
Nah, it's definitely not going to happen. Surely not. He's not even big enough.
Oh, that's why I just read it on.
I know Morpay's not playing. So we said about Morpay earlier, Dave. It's going to be Danny Welbeck. I'm telling you now.
Yeah. Well. Look. Hopefully. Dark Sun G says, according to Conte, Doherty is a very hard work in training. Unlike those 3 mother fudgers we shipped who cries like winks for game time. Doherty took his chance. Well, hold that thought, Dark Sun G, because I do actually have Antonio Conte's words on Matt Doherty, and I will be reading them out and getting one of the guys' opinions on it. So Dark Sun G, just hold that thought. And exactly, he's worked hard. He's basically, to summarize it, Conte said that he proved with actions instead of words that he wants to be here. And exactly, that's what we want, my man. And unlike them other 3 idiots who we shipped on, and Winks that cry for game time, at the end of the day, this is what I've always even said it about Harry Winks, send them belly deli alley. Don't sit there and show me words, show me actions. If you don't show me the actions, I don't want to hear the words. And fair play to Doherty, he has shown the actions, along with Bergwijn, to be fair. But big up, Dark Sun G, my man. Really do absolutely appreciate the support.
Big up,
and George says, rest the front 3 as we push for top 4. Stevie B in.
No.
Look, George, I do have a question on Stevie B, but who do you take out? You can't just take out a Kulu or Son or a Kane right now with the form they're in to put the guy in. But as long as Stevie B knows that he is knocking on the door and one injury or one slip up, he's in there. So he's just got to keep performing when he gets his chances, Georgie. But big up, my man. I really do appreciate the support, brother.
Maybe the next home game, I would say, if the next home game, I don't know, the next home game that's maybe against a beatable team, you could say Stevie B could have a shout. But away from home, I would say no. Definitely not.
Yeah,
it's still a no for me. Just to put a spanner in the works. I think it's
look.
No,
we'll get on to Stevie B. Stevie B is coming. I want to get through some of these other questions as well, guys, because I do have to be on We Are Tottenham TV at 4. But James, sticking with you, my man. Matt Doherty impressed on the left in the 5-1 thrashing of Newcastle on Sunday. Do you think Conte will fill an unchanged side from that win with Matt Doherty on the left and Emerson Royale on the right? Or do you think Reguilon or Session will return to the lineup today?
From the news I've heard, I think Reguilon is fit to play. And I do think Sessignon is as well. So obviously, I'd imagine, out of those two players, you'd expect one to start in their natural position over Doherty. Not to say Doherty didn't, Doherty did a fantastic job, but I think we'd all love to see Doherty back on the right and either Reguilon or Sessignon on the left. Emerson did his job, like we said on, last week against Newcastle. But at the end of the day, we all know what Emerson can do. So I'd love to see Reguilon back. I think he will start Reguilon, but I don't think he'll play 90 minutes. I think he might play 70 minutes, depending on how the game's going. And then maybe Sessignon comes on or even Emerson, depending on the fitness of the other player. But I do think Reguilon will start, and I do think Doherty goes back to right wing back, and I feel a lot more confident that way. But because I just think if Doherty plays left wing back and then Emerson plays right wing back, yes, Emerson did okay. Like, let's not get carried away. He wasn't, one of the best players on the pitch, but it was against Newcastle. We did absolutely batter them. There wasn't a lot of Newcastle shots, as we know, that really. They didn't really attack much in the second half. So Emerson kind of got a bit of a day off in that sense. He got a bit of freedom. So I don't want to see it today because I think it'll be a closer game. I think, I still think obviously Spurs are going to win and we'll get our score predictions later, but I think Villa will attack more and will have more shots on goal and get through our defence, and we need a bit more solidity, and I'd rather see Reguilon there.
No, absolutely spot on, my man. Absolutely spot on. Johnny.
David.
Oh, no. Yeah, it is you. Actually, no, we'll go to you first. So,
go anywhere you want.
Who's Johnny, Dave? Who are you talking to, Dave? Who's Johnny?
Shawnee. I've got to go to Shawnee. And the reason why I'm going to Shawnee with this one is because I know he's a huge fan of Session, and I know Jack's a huge fan of Reguilon. So I want to go to Jack with Reguilon after. But Shawnee, Session trained on Thursday, but has not played since March 7th due to another hamstring injury. Yeah. Do you see him starting today? Or do you think Conte is more than likely going to be cautious with him and just ease him in?
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't know. This guy's, from what I've understood, because I have looked into this quite a few times, and I'm not a doctor, so I could be completely wrong on this, but the hamstring is the left ham, or both hamstrings, even though it's one muscle, it's actually three muscles, right? And like three overlapping strings or whatever. And he usually hurts the right hand side of his left hamstring, and yet this particular injury was on the left hand side of the three areas of the muscle, so it's a new injury within the same muscle group. So there's a little bit of like positivity there that it's not the same reoccurring thing. But with your hamstring injuries, you're always gonna it's the worst injury to get for a football player, because if it goes once, it goes forever. And so you have to be delicate with Sessignon. I personally think he's the right choice for today, because I think we need the early goal so much. And because when he has played, against Everton, against Leeds, he got goals, or he got the assists for the goals in the first 10 minutes of both of those games. I've said it a few times. Don't want to bang on about it, but I do think that he is one of those players that seems to be awake early in the game. And that's not something that Tottenham players always are guilty of being. So I think that he would be the right choice if he's fit. Now, I got no idea whether he's 100% ready to go or whether he's only trained for a couple of hours and he's at best a 45-minute man. I don't want to see him rushed back if it means he's going to pull it again or come up short, right? I'd rather not. But if he is fully fit, for me, I think Sessegnon is the guy today against Aston Villa away from home. I think that he will be more pivotal and more consequential with his crossings and with his abilities than I think Reguilon will be. Reguilon would be better in a situation where we have more space, more time, where the teams are coming out. So maybe start with Sessegnon in the first half, if this is a scenario that's possible. And then if we do get the early goal and then Villa have to come out, then it's an easy option to take him off, put Reguilon on, who can then benefit from the space behind Aston Villa that will be more likely to be available in the second half when Villa have to come out and can't do the low block. That's how I would do it. But it's all pending on whether or not Sessegnon's had anything more than, a few hours on the training field. If he hasn't, then it's not worth. I don't want to see him. Let's not rush him back and then have him pull up again. That's how I would do it.
I actually think you'll see both. I think you'll see one start and one come off the bench today. But Sean, I think you do actually, and I think you were the first one I've ever heard say this, but you do make a very good point about Ryan Sessegnon. He does start the games from minute one. He is ready to go, and that is an absolute great point. And we've seen that, whether it's been a defensive performance from the guy or doing something going forward, he has started from minute one, and he is switched on from minute one, which we have to admit is a huge plus. How many times have we seen now for the first 10 minutes, our players doing stuff at walking pace, and you're like, we're in a fucking game here. What are you doing? So absolute great point there, Shawnee, and we do need more players like that for sure. Andrew, big up, my man. Really do appreciate the $20. What an absolute gentleman. He says, Arsenal will choke today. Players like Little, who's that? Anyone know?
Bitches, probably.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
They
Brighton
play like
2,
little bitches.
Arsenal 0. Hopefully they do play like little biatches today, my man. Hopefully they do. Hopefully that's a way around this whole thing on YouTube. But hopefully they do play like little biatches, and Brighton can definitely smack them up. Look, Brighton's not an easy team to go to. They don't really concede too many. I know they don't score a lot, but lack of threat up front. Hopefully they don't score any today, and it would be
nice.
Love
that name, lack of threat. It's brilliant.
It's quality, lad. It is quality. And look, I would love nothing better to see them choke today. If they do choke today, I'm probably going to become a full-time AFTV troll, to be honest with you. I think that might be my next call in life. Just become a full-time AFTV troll. Any gooners across the internet, just wind them up. And you can play both. You can be like, oh, Pepe's so good, isn't he? Getting them going, and then be like, what you talk about? You absolute melt. You melon. Absolutely love it. But big up, Andrew. Really do appreciate it.
Really generous, Andrew. Really generous, my man.
Andrew, hopefully you still have enough left in your account to be able to kick back and get some beers for today's game and enjoy it, my man. But big up. Really do appreciate the support. Top guy. Everyone keep smashing that like.
He's up nice and early for this as well, Dave. So really appreciate it as well, Andrew. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, is he a West Coaster, Jack, or is he
East Coast? Still probably had to get up, early. It's I guess now it's 10 o'clock, but I've been up since 8 o'clock. So yeah, Dave, big up, Andrew. Really do appreciate it. Really, really generous. Good to see a fellow Spurs fan from the States. Good to have you.
It is. Big up, Andrew. Big up. And Jack, what I want to ask you is does Sergio Reguilon have the trust of Antonio Conte?
That's what's kind of tough. And I feel like I heard a theory recently that maybe a bit of it had to do with potentially Reguilon is out the door, maybe this summer, with Real Madrid. Maybe that's why Antonio Conte hasn't been playing him as much as Sessegnon. So you could say that maybe Antonio Conte doesn't trust him as much. My kind of case for Reguilon.
Sorry, just on that. Do you think that's why Conte doesn't trust him? Because maybe Reguilon hasn't given the insurances that if Madrid do come calling, that he wants to stay on at Tottenham and that he's not maybe locked in?
Yeah, I think that's probably why maybe even this whole kind of Reguilon versus Sessegnon debate has even come up in the first place, to be honest, and why maybe there is this kind of indecisiveness of whether, Conte prefers one or the other is probably because of this Reguilon speculation. And Dave, because the only reason I think that is the case is I just think Reguilon is simply a better wing back. And right now in this moment in time is a better fullback than Sessegnon, I believe is in order to get up and down the pitch, kind of in the way that we expect the wing back to do it. I think Reguilon is going to cover a whole lot more distance than Sessegnon is in terms of kind of defensively. I think Reguilon stepped up. massively this season. I feel like Sessegnon, when we originally bought him from Fulham, he was supposed to be actually more of like an attacking kind of wing back, more of a winger. I feel like nowadays, after all the injuries and everything, he seems to be more defensively solid than he is actually good going forward, which kind of does confuse me a bit, because then that makes me think that he would be better as kind of a defensive sort of wing back in maybe the top 6 kind of games versus Reguilón. And then maybe Reguilón is better against the Aston Villas of the world, probably because he's a bit better going forward. I feel like there's kind of no debate. Sessegnon, like the assist that he got, I think if you were to be harsh to him, Dave, it was against Leeds. It kind of the last game against Bielsa. I think maybe any of the stats that people did accrue that day, you probably could write off, because I've looked at it whenever we've looked at other teams' records. They all had a good game against Leeds. Even Everton, spanked Leeds 3-0, whatever it was as well. So there's something about, I love Sessegnon. I don't want to beat up on Sessegnon, but my other thing is that I feel like we kind of only have such a small sample size to work with when it comes to Sessegnon, because he's never available and he's never really, available to be picked. And that's my other thing. And he's so injured for someone that is a backup left wing back. And I don't like to be harsh on the guy, but that kind of frustrates me. The fact that he's a backup left wing back, he doesn't play nearly as many games as Reguilón does, and he always finds a way to be on the medical table. And it's just something that, I don't know, Dave, kind of just makes me not want to buy into the Sessegnon over Reguilón, because I just don't think Sessegnon is as dependable.
Yeah. Look, for me, I would prefer Reguilón. I do prefer Reguilón, but Sessegnon has, and we just can't deny it, that Sessegnon defensively has done very, very well against Liverpool.
I think he is better defensively than Reguilón.
Yeah, he is. And look, like Sean does say, he's one of them players, he starts the game fast, and if he starts the game fast, it can rub off on others. But Sessegnon, for me, always finds himself in better position. So it's a bit of a tough call, but if you look at it, I do think Reguilón probably has the nod, only purely because Sessegnon hasn't been able to string a couple of months together without being injured. If he did, it'd be very interesting to see what happens. But right now,
if Sessegnon was always waiting, if he was always waiting at Reguilón's door, always just waiting in case Reguilón had a bad game, then I think you could make an easy case that Sessegnon is better. But the problem is that Sessegnon is barely ever available to be, replacing Reguilón. And so we've only been dealing with Reguilón for the most part. And the moment that we've seen something else, I think we've kind of jumped on it, Dave, and been like, oh, it's better. I personally don't think it is. And I think we're working with such a small sample size with Sessegnon. Yeah. And also against opponents that were either top 6 or really bad opponents. And I think it's just a bad sample size to work with.
Well, James, we'll stick with you on this one, my man, and you're spot on there, Jack. And just quickly, Donovan Oosterreicher says, Shawnee cracking a Da Vinci Code. Did you take the 50-1?
I'm not sure. What was that? Which one was the 50-1, Donovan? I'm not sure. I thought there was 100. I took the 80-1. Yeah, that was. I definitely took that one. I had a fiver on that, and I took the 150-1 on Harry Kane to get the hat trick with Tottenham winning both halves. But I'm not sure which the 50-1 one was. So let me know if you found a decent bet there for me.
Let him know. Donovan, it's Shawnee's time. He loves Saturdays. He loves the weekends.
I love a bet. I love game day. I love a bet. It's fantastic. It's always good. Good.
Spot on. But James, Matt Doherty has been directly involved in 6 Premier League goals in 2022 with 2 goals and 4 assists. Can Doherty continue this great run of form, and does he deserve to stay here next season off the back of it?
Answer your second question first. He definitely deserves to stay here. However, it was a point I made on our channel after last week, after he was so good. Let's not forget, and I use this term a lot, paper over the cracks, especially with Ben Davies, right? So Ben Davies had a great season, probably his best season by far. However, it's got to be said that if we want to be a top 4 team consistently, even challenging for titles, you have to look further than what we've currently got. We know we're going to go into we're not even halfway through a rebuild. Is Matt Doherty going to be a starter for the next season? Honestly, I don't think so. I hope not. However, is Matt Doherty going to be a great squad player that can come in and do a job like he's been doing and show that we really will have squad depth? Yes. I think that's the difference. I think if the fans are suddenly going, oh yeah, Doherty, I know it's a bit of a joke and I get it as well. I join in. But I do think we have to look further than the current form, because form is one thing, and then, you know, the ability and the class of a player is another thing. Like Matt Doherty, I think he's at his heights right now. I don't think he's going to get, you know, massively better. And we're starting to see his Wolves form, aren't we? We're starting to see what we actually bought.
Yeah.
However, I don't think Matt Doherty came in. Well, I guess the intention was he did come in to kind of replace Kyle Walker and then Kieran Trippier, and it obviously didn't work. However, I still think we still have to look at his form for the first year and go, well, actually, he wasn't great. Yes, he was playing in a 4 at the back, and that wasn't working. But I just still do think that we need to get a better right wing back, and then use Matt Doherty as the backup, and then Emerson. Well, that can be talked about another stage, but I do think we have to think further than just form. That's what I would say. And going back to the left wing back debate, I think the one thing that sways it for me, and I was just going to make a very quick point, is Ryan Sessegnon against Reguilon. I understand probably most people with Reguilon, but also, like, if we could somehow see Ryan Sessegnon's goal scoring form that he showed at Fulham at that stage, where he scored like something ridiculous, like 20 goals in one season. I know he was playing more forward, but as we know, our wing backs get forward so high in a Conte formation and tactics, then if, you know, the amount of chances Reguilon's had one-on-one, like we went to the away game at Brighton, didn't we, Dave? And we were right behind the goal when Reguilon had 2 one-on-ones, which we thought, please score, and he put them straight at the keeper, both of them. Maybe if Ryan Sessegnon found, you know, his shooting boots and could get into those positions, it's a different debate we'd be having, right? So that was the only point I was going to make on that one. But back to the right wing back, I just think, looking further than this season, I would like to see Doherty in the squad, but not starting.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. But guys, we've about half an hour left, and I do have loads more questions to get through. So what I'm going to do is not ask some of them, and I will ask the most juicy ones. So just to maybe end off on Doherty, I do want to ask Shawnee this question. Yeah. Shawnee, Conte was asked about Matt Doherty this week in his pre-match press conference, and he says, a player that has shown big improvement. At the start, he didn't play a lot because at that moment, I think he didn't deserve to play. He worked very hard in every training session. You see the desire and the will to improve himself. He has a great mentality. He has shown me not with talking, but with attitude and behavior. He's playing very well and with great confidence, and I am very happy for him. It's a good example for everybody at the club. Sean, has Doherty now figured it out at Tottenham?
Look, I'm super happy for him, above and beyond all of those kind plaudits. And yet you have to take them with a little bit of a pinch of salt, because we've seen Conte say, you know, put massive accolades towards like Sanchez and towards Dyer, and to, like he does go after players that he thinks he can get a better tune out of if he puts his kind of vocal arm around his shoulders and big them up. But I think that I don't think they would necessarily deserve with any of the other three. With Doherty, it is deserved. The guy apparently is a very popular guy around the dressing room as well. He's a lovely fella. He works hard, tries hard, does all the things that Conte says. I'm sure it's all true, and it's awesome. Class is temporary. Form is temporary. Class is permanent, and he's in a really rich vein of form right now, and his form should be recognized, rewarded, and we should enjoy it and appreciate it. However, does he have the class to be able to take us to where we want him to be, or where we want Tottenham to be next season and over the next 2 or 3 years? If we want to win trophies and get to the Champions League and go on a decent run in that and push for the title, then, you know, is he going to be able to do it every single week? I don't think so. I'm with James. I'm happy to have him hang around. I don't mind him being a squad man. I certainly think if you're going to make an improvement in the right wing back slot, which we absolutely have to, then for me, the first guy that's out the door is Emerson. I wish him well. He's a nice guy. I hope he goes to Atletico or wherever that interest was expressed from. And I hope he kicks on with his career. But of the two, he goes first. Doherty, you can make the argument that they could both be replaced, but I'm happy for Doherty to stay. But I don't want him to be our first choice right wing back next season. I want to see us go. But again, same with the goalkeeper. If we're going to improve in key positions for a specific formation, then go after it. Don't this £25 million recycling of money all the time. It's it gets you a certain caliber, but it doesn't get you anything more. And for me, I think a right wing back is somewhere where we need to go and spend, you know, a lot of money if there's the option available. He has turned his season around? Has he turned his career around at Tottenham? I would argue no. I think, like I said, class is permanent, and he hasn't got the class that we need to go where we want to go.
I think if we're showing we're really ambitious and hungry, like just very quickly, I think like we've just been saying, like Doherty would be a great backup. But like if we're going to be an ambitious club under Conte and take this seriously, like we all want to happen, to challenge for leagues, to be top 4 without having to scrape it, we have to go and look at like Hakimi's not too happy at PSG. That would be a serious statement to go and sign someone like him. Quadrado, Juventus, I think he's an underrated right wing back. Converted from a right winger to right wing back, would play a Conte formation perfectly. That's the kind of statement you have to make if you want to be serious and actually progress as a club rather than kind of go sideways all the time.
Yeah, spot on. And guys, let me know if you want Shawnee to have a 5-10 minute segment in the pre-match build-ups from now on for bets. Everyone putting in bets for the guys, so do let me know if that's something you want to see.
You'll have Paddy Power knocking on the door in a minute.
With like 5 minutes of delusional bets, 5 minutes of logical bets. It'd be nice. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. We'll all be taking time out to run to the bookies for sure. You gotta love it. But Jack, I can't move on from the defense. I do have other questions, but I can't move on from the defense without asking you a question on Ben Davies, because you are becoming a big fan, rightly so, may I add. So, Jacko, Ben Davies has had a resurgence since Conte arrived at the start of November. He has featured in all but one game. There is only one further game in which Davies has not started. Take yourself back to under Nuno Espirito Santo. Davies was largely an unused substitute in the Premier League, but was used in Europa Conference League and Carabao Cup fixtures. Has Ben Davies been one of the most dependable players this season under Antonio Conte, one that maybe isn't spoke about?
I think he has, Dave. But, what's a bit sad, I must say, is that, you give Ben Davies 9 out of 10, you croak up a bit, when giving him that 9 out of 10 speech. And, all of a sudden, you're president of the Ben Davies fan club. So I would say I'm a bit kind of ashamed of myself of maybe, giving him all that credit, because, now all of a sudden I'm a voice of the Ben Davies fan club, which is not what I want to be, Dave. I'll be clear.
Jack, I got it clipped.
It seems to be an American thing. Ariane is like Ben Davies' biggest fan.
Oh, Dave, this is becoming bad. This is becoming bad, Dave. I just have to say, if I speak, I'm in big trouble. If I speak, I'm in big trouble after this. But moving on, Dave. To answer the question, I think he has been probably the most dependable player. Hasn't really been injured, which is something we have to be thankful for, because he's the only left-footed center back we have in the entire club. He's the only player that can really realistically play in that left-sided center back role and play what Conte wants to do, which is someone that can help out Reguilon, maybe make some of those kind of inverted, runs, through the middle of the pitch. Someone that can actually be more of a progressive kind of center back than really just defensive first. I think that's why Joe Rodon doesn't even get a shout at that left-sided center back position, because you can't imagine Joe Rodon like really carrying the ball, like 20, 30 yards, up the pitch, confidently, in any sort of way. So I think Ben Davies, Dave, the fact he hasn't been injured, the fact that he's put in mostly 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10s, for the majority of his time under Antonio Conte, I think, to be honest, has been probably the most dependable player for him, kind of secretly, because I know Dyer, kind of keeps things glued together. I know Romero is kind of, the flashy, kind of Rolls Royce sort of defender in the squad, but there is kind of no player to compete with Ben Davies, kind of like what Reguilon was last season. There was no player competing with Reguilon, for that spot. Same with Højbjerg. And so Ben Davies is having one of those seasons where you're kind of thankful that he never got injured, and kind of thankful that, he's kept it pretty tidy for this whole time period.
Yeah, spot on. And look, the fact that he's only missed one game under Antonio Conte, it kind of says everything about the guy, how dependable he has been for him, for sure. But big up, Jacko. John Plank says, Timo is a poacher. I'll be honest with you, look, maybe today, but every other day, the guy wouldn't even poach an egg, to be honest with you. He just wouldn't. He's absolutely useless. The amount of sitters that guy misses, he really does.
The elephant husk.
The boat of Buta says, totally agree with Sean. Doherty, Emerson, Reggie will cost us crucial matches. They can be good squad players, but first team needs quality. Sean, this is to you, my man. What do you want to say to the bottom Duta?
Oh, I appreciate your appreciation to bottom Duta. Yeah, I listen. I agree with you. You agree with me. It's inception on agreement here. I think that we definitely need just to figure out which of the team like I've said before, right? We got a first 11 that are great. First 12, first 13, first 14 where the quality drops off. What I'd like to see is us improve in certain positions in the first 11 and drop those first 11 players down to squad level, and then move on or loan out or send away, however that looks, some of the people that are in the squad. I'd like to see Sanchez be moved on. I'd like to see Emerson be moved on. One of either Reggie or Sessegnon. I just don't think we can rely on both. They're both great players when they're playing, but they both have injury vulnerability. Sessegnon obviously far more fragile. So I just like to see us improve where we can in the key positions. Maybe left wing back isn't the priority, but certainly in other areas we do. And they just, like I say, drop those players that are currently playing down to squad level, because most of them are good eggs and can be used in a variety of different ways. But get rid of the squad players, move them out, move them on. Winksy got to go, Sanchez got to go, Galini send him home, and a few others, and then improve at the top and drop those guys down. But appreciate you, bottom Duta.
Absolutely spot on. And look, I agree. Like, if we are talking about league titles and Champions League and stuff, as good as Doherty has been, is he your man? Probably not, because in the bigger games he probably will end up costing you. Look, it's the same with Dyer and Davies as well for me. I still think you can improve upon them as well. Look, the thing is, we're not going to be able to get everything done this summer. It was always, when Paratici came in, it was always going to take 3-4 transfer windows for him to kind of sort everything out properly. But what has happened is it's given us a good chance to be able to get the right players in the right areas and make us a very formidable force next season. The bottom, big yourself up, brother, and I really do appreciate the support. So, guys, I picked out 3 questions I want to ask next. I think, look, the rest of the centre backs kind of pick themselves. Midfield again picks itself. I think we spoke about enough that with stats with Jack yesterday, though, about the midfield battle. We went really into deep on it. So the 3 questions I kind of do want to ask you that we have time for is: Spurs have scored 21 goals in their last 6 top flight games, something they last achieved between April and September 1965, and scorers popping up from all over the pitch. How has Conte turned us from one of the worst attacks in the league to one of the best? And guys, all 3 of you can come in and, have your say on this one.
James, give your thoughts.
I was so busy looking at the fact that Brighton are on top. I missed the end of that question.
He's a Brighton fan. We'll move on from the Brighton fan. We'll go to you, Shawnee or Jacko.
Jack, you go.
Oh, wow, I was looking at the Brighton going on top as well. So
was I.
Red in the face. Everybody, send in your apologies to Dave. Absolute amateur hour here. Absolute amateur hour. Sorry, Dave. Go ahead. We're
on the ball now.
That beautiful question. I need to hear it again, Dave. It was so good.
Look, I think what has happened is that under Nuno, Kane was asked to drop deep a hell of a lot of time, but was dropping super deep. Same with Son, same with Lucas. And our forwards were trying to get on the ball deep in our own half and trying to place right up the pitch. And it's just not doable. It doesn't matter if you have the best players in the world. It is a very tough way to go and try and win games. Under Nuno, we were barely getting shots on target. But with Conte, he's come in, he's stuck to his guns. He's turned around to the players. He's like, this is the way we're playing. This is the formation. Like it or lump it. If you want to lump it, you can go and play with the under-23s. If you want to like it, prove it to me in training. And I think that's exactly what's happened. Plus, he's brought in the winning mentality. You're seeing Kane a lot higher up the pitch. Son a lot higher up the pitch. And although Kane is dropping deep, and this is another thing, when Kane was dropping deep under Nuno, there was nobody filling that void in the middle. But now Conte has got Son to drift inside to fill that void. It gives you that outlet. It gives that ball for Kane to put in behind. You've also got Kulu, who's also available. You've got the left wing back bombing forward. But for me, I think the biggest thing and the key to it all is bringing in a Bentancur into the midfield. Look, I don't want to go back harping on about the guy, but Winks wanted to pass it sideways, wanted to pass it backwards, and it was always his first move. And in fact, when he did get into positions where, we could go at them, he slowed it whole down and waited for the whole opposition to get behind the ball and reset the whole defensive structure. And then passed it fucking sideways. The guy is absolutely unbelievable. And what happens when you do that, right? You're passing it sideways, you're passing it backwards. teams just put the press on you. We've seen it against Southampton, seen it against Wolves. They put the press on you. You're under pressure. You end up booting the ball along. And then you're not giving anybody a chance to get on the end of it because Kane, Son and Lucas are just deep in your own half. But since Bentancur has come in, he drops into the pockets of space. He wants the ball. In fact, he demands the ball. And his first pass is forward. And that beats the press every single time, which means Kane, Son and Kulu can stay higher. They get the ball. And they just work the magic from there.
He takes measured risk. He takes like a measured risk on the ball. Like I didn't like it at first when I first saw him when he hangs onto the ball when two or three or whoever the players will be are coming on him, and he got dispossessed a couple of times against Man United. It didn't work so well, and a couple other times I think it was against West Ham. He got caught, and we didn't get punished. But you have to take risks to create opportunity, right? Like you have to speculate to accumulate in life, and I think what he does so brilliantly is obviously like you say, he wants the ball, but when he does that kind of that slow, he's waits, and then he moves quick, drops his shoulder, and then moves past those two players that are pressing on him. It opens the game up so well. I'd love to see if there was a statistic that could like identify the start of the move, because obviously you have assists, you have the key pass. Do you have things that measure the very first, the pivotal moment of a move that leads to a goal or leads to a chance? Because I'd imagine that he is responsible for so many of those goals by him holding onto the ball, and when it works out, he draws those two players in, and then when he gets past them, he can lay it off to Højbjerg, lay it off to Kulu, lay it off to Doherty, to wherever we go, and then there's space to move with. So for me, I love what you said there, Dave. Bentancur, I can tell everyone's distracted looking at the Brighton result. Yeah.
No,
is it 1-0 or 2-0?
To say,
it's 1-0.
1-0. Okay.
Trossard with a beautiful finish.
Big up Trossard, scores about 2 a season. Absolutely love it.
Good player, though. Good player.
Yeah, he is. I'm absolutely buzzing that Brighton went up. I mean, all the stars are aligning. You literally couldn't write this. It really does pay off to try and always be positive, like myself, Sean, and Jack were after that United defeat. It really does pay off to be positive. It's never over until it's over, and we're definitely reaping the rewards of that. But Sean, you're absolutely spot on there, my man. Absolutely spot on. Jack, James, sorry, not James. It's now James. Have you guys anything to add to what myself and Sean were saying there?
Yeah, I was just gonna say you both your points, all your points were spot on. I just think also, like with Bentancur, we saw from literally like day one how much of a difference he was gonna make. Like against it was in the FA Cup, wasn't it? Against Brighton actually. And like he got the ball and literally just turned the player on the edge of the box, and you're thinking, wow, we have not seen that as
and then sprayed it out to Lucas Moura.
Yeah. And I don't know if I'm maybe over exaggerating, but I was starting to think we haven't seen that since like Moussa Dembele or like even like Luka Modric, where a midfield player gets the ball, swivels, close control at his feet, and just sprays the pass, like you said, Dave, out to the wing or gets a counter attack going on, and it was just so good to see, like from minute one, and since then he's just blossomed even more. He's starting to cement into the team. Numerous challenging for man of the match performances. And it is the difference. Like I said on the channel the other day that I think these two have been the biggest impact signings we've had in a January since for as long as I can remember, for a long, long time. And that just says everything you need to know. I know, Dave, I admitted the other day, I held my hands up and said, look, 6 out of 10 window is looking to start looking like an 8, 9 out of 10 window. But yeah, like you guys have just said, like he just completely changes the dynamic of how we play.
Yeah, no, 100%. And big up, Ellie. You did call Trossard. Absolutely love it.
He's a great player.
Absolutely buzzing. It gives us so much bounce going into this Villa game. But Jack, anything you want to add, or move on to the last question?
I think I'd just add a bit of context to. I just don't think Nuno told Kane to do anything, Dave. I think Kane, the guy barely spoke to Kane in the first place. So I think it was just Kane probably out of frustration, just dropping deep, and doing exactly what you said. I don't think it was really Nuno telling him to do that. I think maybe the one thing I would just quickly add is the big difference between, I think, Nuno and Conte is just how vertical we seem to play, Dave. And it's not that we're, sending long balls, up to Harry Kane to nod them on. It's just the passes that we do make. I feel like all of them seem to have some sort of aim at being kind of, a bit more forward, a bit more progressive. Whereas with Nuno, it really was just kind of just passing it around, and then eventually, maybe going for some sort of combination, through the middle, when you kind of felt like it. Where Conte, it feels like we're actually, when we have the ball, we're doing it with a lot more purpose, and we're playing it a lot more vertical, trying when Bentancur receives it on the half turn, tries to find someone like a Sonny or a Harry Kane. He doesn't just, swing it off to somebody else sideways. So that's all I would add, Dave.
No, 100%, my man, 100%. And look, we just got to keep this going. We just got to keep the momentum, and hopefully Conte can keep proving that he is a tactical genius. Leighton Evelyn, it's good to see you in. So many times this season, you told me stop being deluded. You've told me so many times stop being deluded. Call me deluded now. I have no problem with it, my man. Call it to me now. But Leighton, it is good to see you in. It's great to see you, buddy. 1-0 up to the Arsenal. And hopefully now, Leighton, you can believe just like me, Sean and Jack. That's what we want to see.
We're going to rebrand you to the Irish Delusion.
I think Leighton's Welsh, actually. I think Leighton is Welsh, but he does have to come into the Irish
Welsh
Delusion.
Delusion.
For sure.
Okay.
But Leighton, I don't blame you. I do not blame anybody that, that didn't keep the faith. I mean, it's very hard. It was testing me. But Leighton, hopefully now that we can just keep the faith going forward now on. But it's good to see you in, my man. Dark Sun G says Brighton 1, Gooners nil. Come on, Seagulls, a win for us. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, Dark Sun G.
And if they do get better, it kind of takes the pressure off us going into our game a little, to be honest with you, Dark Sun G. So that'd be absolutely nice. But Dark Sun G, you've been calling it all week, my man. Big yourself up. What a legend.
Brother.
90%, like he's got some kind of like probabilities going on there. 90%. I was thinking, what are you saying?
He just believes so hard. No, he just believes so
unbelievable.
Passionately that it just comes true sometimes.
I told you, guys, it's no secret. It's like 9 o'clock in the evening over there. He's already knows what happened at 3 o'clock. He's in the future.
That's what it is.
It's not rocket science. He's in the future.
I love it. I love it. The bottom do is this question for the panel. I read Conte wants to bring in another number 10 who will supply to Kane and wants him to be a pure 9. Will he change formation? I mean, look, we'll get everyone in. You can give a nice answer here to the bottom do, and we'll start with you, Jack.
It's just maybe if that were to happen to bottom Duda, then that means Conte wants to find somebody he can bring in to play that 3-5-2. Maybe when he thinks it's best suited. I wouldn't be surprised that he wants another midfielder that could help with the 3-5-2. Whether that would be like a number 10, I really doubt it. I think it would be a very different sort of player to a number 10. I think it would be something a bit more than that, something a bit more industrious than that. I think the players that really play like number 10s in Conte's team seem to actually be the forwards and not really the midfielders. But that's my thoughts on my man at the bottom, Duda. But I would just say, yeah, if he were to get that one, it'd probably be for that 3-5-2 that he probably wants to switch up with the 3-4-3.
Correct. Just going off the back of that, just to add to it, maybe to keep it flowing. I think you're spot on, Jack. I think the forwards in a Conte system, we saw it into Milan, are more like the number 10s that then push forward. And the one for me, in terms of answering your question, if we were to change the formation, I wouldn't want to change the formation every game. It would just be set games where it would work better. And I think the perfect solution, and I've said this in previous podcasts, and I don't know how likely it is to get him or how expensive it would be. I know it would be a fortune. But I really do believe that Lautaro Martinez under Conte is unbelievable. We saw it at Inter Milan. Him and Lukaku, part of Lukaku's success was Lautaro Martinez just coming off of him and spraying the balls through, or even using as like a smoke screen to let Lukaku through and create the space. I just watching that Inter Milan team was the best team in Serie A for a couple of 3 or 4 seasons, I think, and that was part of the success for that number 10 kind of role.
No, spot on. Shawnee, anything you an answer for the bottom, do it?
Yeah, look, I'm not sure if he, whether he wants number 10 or number. He definitely wants someone that can support in the, to add to the forward options. I saw a really crazy report today that's been shared on the Sun, on the Evening Standard, in 4 other places, that apparently Carlos Tevez, the 38-year-old, is in London and has got a meeting with Conte next week with a view to
bring him home,
maybe to rejoin to join Tottenham on a really short-term contract, having been released last season from Boca Juniors.
If we
get him and Bale, we would have the best golfing 11, probably on the.
That would be
on the world
insane,
as
though.
well.
Carlos Tevez at 38 years old. I'm not sure if there's any truth to that.
Ex West Ham, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
are we sure about this?
Ex United, yeah.
Ex City, ex Man United. The guy's a born trader. He's a born
Yeah.
trader. You gotta love him. Gotta love Carlitos.
So, well, I don't know about that, but listen, yeah, I personally all the big names that have been mentioned. I was the name that I liked the sound of the most was Memphis Depay, until I saw on Instagram yesterday a picture of him and Stephen Bergwijn.
Oh, it's horrendous.
That outfit that Depay is working. It looks like he's wearing a full-on snakeskin suit, and to me, like, I just feel like he's probably one of those types of players that is more interested in how he looks. I don't know.
That photo, I thought Stephen Bergwijn and Memphis Depay had been watching too much Wolf of Wall Street. That's what it looked like. It looked like they'd just been watching way too much of that. They thought they were high rollers and all that. And I'm thinking, please stop that. It's embarrassing.
But they are high rollers. But it's the thing, like, but I love the guy. I think Depay's stats, a goal every other game for his entire career on average, an assist every third game. I've said it before. That's Sonny level of contributions, and I think he'd be a fraction of the cost of a Dybala or a Martinez. So for me, until I saw that picture, I was all about him. But now, having seen it, I'm not sure I want someone that has that sort of fashion sense in the dressing room.
Well, they hard to both do
Maybe
it.
a distraction in the dressing room. That's for sure.
Hopefully, you enjoyed the answers, man. You feel like you got your money's worth. Big up the both do it. Really appreciate.
He definitely got his money's worth there. We went from Conte ball to talking about which players to talking about fashion to bottom two. So there you go, mate.
Big up the bottom do. Tottenham Tantrum goal with the super chat, and he's just giving it the big. Come on,
big pump,
absolutely
Dave.
love it.
Love it. Big up. Everybody head on over to Tottenham.
We're going to nickname that one the Big Papa Dermot. So big yourself up for sending in the Big Papa, my man.
Big up,
I really appreciate it. Big yourself up, lad. And I hope you're feeling okay today, Dermo. Faz Radfar, I'm in awe. Trust Arsenal will finish 8th, said last week. Yeah, but look, I hope they finish 8th. It really would be nice, to be honest with you. Faz Radfar. Look, I think they will finish ahead of United, to be honest with you. I do think they'll finish ahead of United. But look, they definitely as long as they don't finish top 4, I couldn't really care where they finish, to be honest with you, Faz, my man. Big yourself up. Leighton Evelyn says, I'm never leaving the crazy train again. Absolutely love it, Leighton. You can never leave it again, lad. You got to stay on it constantly. Look, I know times can get tough and you take a battering at times, but it's all make it worthwhile when you do get inside that top 4, my man. Big up, Leighton Evelyn. Really,
no drop-offs on the crazy train, my man. Only pick-me-ups. Only pick-me-ups on the crazy train. No drop-offs.
Is this the Leighton that had the profile picture of him with a sign with Leighton in the background, or is that a different one?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, to be honest with you, lad.
Like
you love these profile pictures, so you do. You love them.
It keeps me entertained, Keeps me entertained. I like to judge who's is the best. At the moment, on your bike, Scott with his dog with a Spurs mat is number 1. See if you can beat it next time, guys.
But guys, the links for Sean's channel, for Spurs related, and for flatcapeurotalk are all in the chat. If you want to get over there and smash that subscribe button. Now, guys, I do have to head off over to We Are Talking TV, so I'm going to ask this last question and let Jack wrap it up. If that's okay with you, Jacko?
Yeah, feel free.
Yeah. So the last question, I'm going to give my answer, and then I will bounce out of here and go over and get ready for We Are Talking TV, and then Jack will end it off. But Harry Kane has looked sharp with 12 goals and 6 assists in the league this season. But his teammate, Sonny, has looked even sharper, finding himself among the Premier League's leading goal scorers this season with 14 goals and 6 assists. Now, what I want to know, guys, is who's going to finish the club's top scorer this season. Look, for me, right, I'm talking about Premier League top scorer as well, because we're talking about all competitions. Kane is ahead. But in terms of Premier League, look, I really want to say Kane, but I just know by the way we're playing and the studying of the tactics that we've seen, that Son will get more chances because of the position he's taken up and Kane being the chief creator. But you know what? Look, my head is telling me, Dave, stop being in it.
You could think about it goal contrictions, Dave. Just think about it as goal contributions. I think it's always better to think about it that way.
But
would he have more goal contributions than Sonny, do you think?
The thing is, lad, it's kind of like, for me, my head is telling me Son is going to finish top scorer, but my heart won't allow me to stick with that. So I'm going to go with Big H to finish the club's top scorer. Hopefully bangs in 2 today, gets a bit closer to Mo Salah, gets a bit closer to Sonny, and it'd be very, very nice. But I'm going to go with Kane to finish the club's top scorer. Everybody, been an absolute blast, been a great show today. Really have enjoyed it. I just quickly, before I go, massive thank you to Jacko, to Sean, and to James for coming on the show here today.
James.
James. It's a great name.
I love it. I actually like it. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, we're going to have to change the birth cert, man. So we will have to change it on the birth cert. But everybody, a massive thank you. These guys help make these pre-match pump-ups with their expert answers and stuff like that. And trust me, it's not easy to do mid-afternoon if you've had a late night the night before. So a massive thank you to all you guys. And a massive thank you to everybody out there who has tuned in over the course of the show. It's been absolutely unbelievable. Loving the comments as well. Loving seeing everybody in positive vibes. See you all back here at 5:15 this evening for the watch along with myself, Jack, and Sean. Until then, come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust. I'll see you all soon.
And Dave, one more thing. What's happening later?
Oh yeah, quiz tonight. I keep forgetting. Quiz tonight, guys. Starting at around it'll be starting at 9:30. It's myself and Ellie versus Dermot and Phil the Tiss. So it should be an absolute cracker. Look, hopefully me and Ellie can take that. I'm going to have to send the guards around to Dermot's house to make sure there's no cheating in the background to get some of these answers. I have to make sure it's all above board. But Spurs quiz tonight, guys, 9:30. Especially if we win, it's going to be good vibes. See you all later.
See you in a bit, Dave.
What a send up, Dave. Good to have you, Dave.
How
Well done.
Spurs.
Good host. Good hosting as well.
Jeez, lad, I nearly ended the stream instead of leaving. My bad. See you.
We nearly dropped the ball on that last one for him. I did feel bad because he was on a roll there, but we were all just absolutely admiring this Brighton fixture. But
my phone was going nuts. So I was getting text that Brighton had just scored, and it hadn't come through on my scoring system.
Looked
and then
like the scum have equalized, at least on my screen.
And then Dave said, "What do you think, James?" And I was just like, "I can't lie."
Looks like Dave was the good luck charm on my screen. The scum have equalized.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, they have. Yeah.
That's
killed the mood.
Something going on, yeah. It kills the mood a little bit there.
Right before our time.
Unfortunate.
Just Dave. Sorry, Jack. Just quickly. I just got a message from Danny Kiriakou. He's a member for 13 months. Did you call up that message out?
I was going to actually read out.
Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry.
Comment.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was just Dave was giving a send up. But Danny as well saying something inside. I don't know the song, but I'm going to try singing it.
Something inside so strong. Oh,
Arsenal get battered everywhere they go. What a day so far it is. Their luck changing, boys. What a day so far it is. Is their luck changing, boys? What is this madness? It looks like they're scraping by at this moment.
Offside.
Danny, and maybe
It's offside. It's offside. It's really your day. It really
is changing. No, nothing's changing, Danny. Nothing's changing. It's keeping the same. Scratch everything I said. But a member for 13 months. And also as well, very generous member as well, Danny has been, and really do appreciate you, brother. And thank you for sticking by us so long. I figured I'd wrap up with 2 questions, guys. Then we kind of give the plug of the channel and kind of score predictions and whatnot. Answer David's question there. Where does Harry Kane, maybe finish? Does he finish with the most goal contributions at the club, or does maybe Sonny take it? Sean, what do you think?
I think it will be tight. I think Sonny will be the.
Me too.
Yeah, I just think that the way that the team is setting up now, with Harry Kane dropping deep, taking one for the team, I think it's going to provide more opportunities for Sonny. I think it will be tight, but yeah, Sonny will probably be the gold boot.
I'm going to mix things up. I'm going with a draw. First ever draw in Premier League. I'm going with they're on 12 goals for Kane, 14 for Son, 8 games left. 17 or 18 goals each, tied on level. I think Kane will close the gap, and then Son will continue scoring, but Kane maybe get a brace today, I reckon. And like Dave said, put it quite equal, or near as equal as possible. So yeah, I'm going with actually. I think they'll draw. That's a controversial opinion.
Love it.
Got to be spot on.
Love it. Love it. And then I was going to ask, my other question was going to be, who's kind of your danger man? Because I feel like we didn't really give maybe Aston Villa a lot of credit here. So maybe who's your danger man for Aston Villa? Like, who's 100... the one that you would say you're the most afraid of?
110% is Felipe Coutinho. The guy is a baller. Obviously, like I said, done the stats before I came on, but 4 goals, 3 assists in 11 Premier League games already, 7 goal contributions in 11 games. Not many players in the Premier League can say they've done that. Certainly in 11 games. He's a world-class player on his day. Played for the likes of, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and I don't quite know how he's got to Aston Villa, but Aston Villa have pulled off an absolute worldie signing there under Gerrard. And Coutinho, he can change a game if we aren't on our game in the midfield. And this is the other point I made. It's, in midfield, Villa actually have a lot of, their formation is very narrow. They don't have actually a lot of width. So I think the key battle is in midfield today. For example, like Douglas Luiz, who's the young player, Ramsey, and Coutinho, and also McGinn. There's a lot of central midfield players there that will be battling against Bentancur and Højbjerg. And as we saw against Wolves, and I know it's very different because we have Winks in midfield, but when you've got more players in centre mid against maybe 2, it can become a difficult kind of task. I do think we'll be on top of it. I just think if their midfield suddenly starts battling and comes on top and allows Coutinho with a bit of space in between sort of the defence and the midfield, and then there's pockets of space with maybe Davies and Dyer aren't communicating properly like we've seen before, and Coutinho can get a shot off on 25 yards out, we just know he can hit a ball and just change a game like that. And for me, 110% Felipe Coutinho, we have to keep him under our arm today.
Completely agree. I think absolutely. Sean, maybe last question before we get on to plug-in channel and score predictions. Who's that danger man for Aston Villa? Just because I feel like we weren't really giving them enough credit maybe before this.
Today, it's Coutinho, isn't it? If he has a great game, then
will he have that Ronaldo effect? Could he have that kind of world class? Just stun you with something. Even if I feel like he could have a bad game, but could hit like a worldie from 30 yards.
He could do one. He's not going to score a hat trick. He could pull a worldie out and get 1 goal, but I don't think he's not going to.
He's not that.
Ronaldo's just different beast. But if we can see 1, we can score 3. If we concede 3 goals, it's going to be difficult to win the game. But,
no way am I comparing Coutinho to Ronaldo. But what I'm saying is 7 goal contributions in 11 games. Not many players have done that in the last 11 games, and I just think he can change a game, and like Jack said, even if he's not playing well, he can just suddenly hit a 25-30 yard shot, completely deflate us. The atmosphere goes up at Villa Park. We know they get a good atmosphere there, changes the complete complexity of the game and puts us on the back foot again.
Absolutely.
I can just imagine that he'll start central and drift to the left, and I think that he's within the first 5 minutes. I think Romero's gonna. I actually had one of the bets I had that was 100-1 required Romero to get a yellow card inside the first 10 minutes. I don't want it to happen, but I feel like Romero may decide to put his foot in and crunch on Coutinho like he did on St. Maximin last week.
And he loves a good yellow card against Richarlison as well. You can tell. So I wouldn't be surprised there, Sean. But wrapping up the show, lads. Let's start with you, James. Where can people find you? What can they find over on that beautiful channel of yours? And also, I need a score prediction as well.
Yeah, no worries. Let's go with the channel first, so you can find me over on Spurs related. Hence the t-shirt. But we're hosting, like Dave said, the quiz later on this channel. However, we do regular quizzes and Spurs trivia and fun kind of games over on our channel as well. We've got some big guests coming over there. I'm sure there's a rematch due for Dave and Jack against Tottenham on tour as well. That's certainly coming in the bag as well. And not only that, obviously we've got our post-match reactions, so instant live reactions, previews, all the stats, all the breakdowns as you'd find on a lot of Spurs channels. But no, guys, appreciate always coming on this channel, and it's always a great laugh, and it's always good insight talking to this chat. I love the chat and how active it is here. It's crazy. You get so many good questions and creates amazing talking points. But enough about that. Score prediction. I'm feeling quite confident today. I'm going with a 3-1 Spurs. I do think we will concede at one point, and it will go to maybe an equaliser. I actually called it. I don't know, I'm saying I called it. I guessed it correctly a couple of times on our channel, but I'm going with Spurs to score first. Then Villa will come back and score before half-time, and then I think we'll get 2 quick goals after half-time. And Conte always seems to get the best out of the players in that sort of 45 to 70-minute period. Mm-hmm. And then I think we'll see it out, and I think 3-1 is a fair reflection. I'm going Kane, all the front three to score one each. Kane, Son, Kulusevski, and I think for them it will be a Coutinho goal out of the blue to equalise, and that's what I'm going for. 3-1, guys.
I could see that. Everybody, head on over to Spurs Related. The link is right there in the chat. We put it a few times, I think, as well during the show, so you should have probably clicked on it by now. Do head on over to Spurs Related. They need to get over to 700 as soon as possible.
Yeah,
and
appreciate
please,
it.
love James, love Andre as well. Love what they're doing over there. Great channel, and I do believe they do some kind of cheeky, kind of nice, kind of more time manageable kind of streams that I think David and I probably could take a page out of your book from, because I feel like you guys do a bit better time management than we probably do. So I would say definitely head on over there. And Sean, tell us a bit about Spurs Talk Show, and then give us your score prediction as well, please.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Spurs Talk Show on YouTube, on Instagram and Twitter. It's a channel that's just got over 802 subscribers now. So really grateful for everyone that has already subscribed. And over there, it's sort of, I guess, two different types of content. I do like 3 or 4 times a week. I take my dog for a walk and just record myself whilst I'm getting Tottenham stuff off my chest. And I upload that separately. And I do live streams kind of once or twice a week with panels like everything else, like everybody else, just going through. And I try to play games on the panel shows and have like Wheel of Fortune and different kind of talking points and topics, kind of lighthearted. But yeah, it's great fun. Love it. And anyone that hasn't subscribed, would love you to come over there. And I'm also doing one tomorrow morning at 12 o'clock, 12 till 2. It's the first time I'm doing a Sunday early morning show. So if you want to stop by, if you've not got a hangover or whatever tomorrow morning, then swing by and keep me company at midday. Yeah, that's it. Thank you to everyone that has subscribed. I'm trying to on the march now to 900, and then see where we go from there. As far as the game goes, I'm going 3-0. I think Tottenham are going to win the first half, win the second half, and I think it's going to be. I don't think it'll be easy, but I don't think Villa will score, and I think overall we're gonna make the scoreline look like it was comfortable. It won't be comfortable, but once we get the first, we'll be able to push on and get the second and then the third. 1-0 at halftime, 3-0 at full time, and I think the goal scorers are going to be Sonny, Kulu, and Kane.
Ooh, Sonny,
Kulu, and Kane. Interesting. I'm going to go for the same fixture as it was last time. I'm going for a 2-1. Here, I think I'm seeing a 2-1 in the cards. I could see us maybe going up 1-0. I could see the second half being a bit spicy. Maybe we grab a second. They kind of maybe grab that, goal out of nowhere against the run of play, like James is talking about. And then we're kind of just nail biting, for the rest of the game. So I'm going for a 2-1. But everybody, do really appreciate you all tuning in for this one. Like David said, he's head on over to the pre-match pump up over on We Are Tottenham TV. So I would definitely encourage you guys to head on over there, put in the hashtag Harris Army as well. Feel free to jump on and talk to David, because I do believe they put in the link into the chat and everybody. So do talk over with David on the pre-match pump up. Really have enjoyed everybody in the chat today. Felt like everybody was watching that Everton Man United game, and then all of a sudden it just blew up over here, which is a bit interesting. I didn't know people were interested. When I looked at that game, I was like, that's not a game I want to watch. But I guess, it was the one everybody was tuned into. But do hit that like on your way out, everybody. And as always, come on, you Spurs, and in Conte we trust.
Come on, you Spurs! Come on!